There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to 0. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to 0. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to 0. That's back from high school.
We recognize different ages for different purposes. We recognize 18 for the draft. We recognize 16 for driving in some states. We recognize 21 for drinking. So we recognize different ages for different purposes. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could I have a second to engage that?
Certainly. I'll yield to the gentleman from Kentucky.
Would the chairman join me in co-sponsoring a bill to raise the draft age to 21?
No.
But the chairman feels that their brains aren't fully formed at 18, 19, and 20.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Welcome back to another Night of Stick with Koolfrogg. You know, it's been a horrible couple of days. I'm actually feeling better. I'm glad that I actually took the few days off and actually, got myself to the point of feeling better. I don't know where AmericaShirts is. We're always going to have to always chant for AmericaShirts to becoming fashionably late, like he always does. I think you're fine with that, right?
Totally okay.
Good to see your face on YouTube. This is Printergod. Everybody say hello to Printergod.
Howdy, folks.
We say hello to you. I see Sparkles is out there. Tony K is out there. Look at Short Order Cook. You got a 357 SIG. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. If you're still here. That was a little early. Look at that. Jess is here. Sparkles. Mike Hagen. Good to see y'all. I'm glad you're all here. Glad everybody's enjoying their night. So I invited you here because you said you wanted to speak of some cybersecurity stuff, or whatever. You got some juicy information for us that you share, and I told you that I'd give you the time that you'd like. There are a couple links that were sent out to a couple people to see if we can't spark up some conversation. If we just so happen to run dry. That being said, what do you got for us, man?
Hey, man, good to be on. Good to be with you again. Yeah, nothing super crazy. Stuff that everybody's kind of heard little by little over the time, but it's just good to get a nice refresher as to what's out there, what capabilities are out there, what the government can know, what other people can know.
Absolutely, always.
And what your footprint is online, because it's pretty wild. I'm going to walk you through some stuff, and you might be familiar with it, but some other people might not be. And it's extremely wild as to what people can see, where, and how, and what the government can see, where, and how. It's pretty cool stuff. So, got a few articles to talk about. Just everything from geolocation data and how they gather that, and what they can do with it, and what it actually means. Because
before we go too far, what is it that you normally do for an everyday job, if you can divulge?
So I work in the IT field for a company that is a pretty big company that is the government, basically. But that's basically as far as I really want to get with that. I'm not. It's
Here,
not like
here,
I'm hiding
folks.
it.
We have a glowy in our sights. Watch out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to completely hide it. It's not a big secret. People can find me. I'm out there, but I'd rather not just come out and say, "Hey, I work for this company, and these are my opinions," because otherwise, or it's not a company, this agency, and these are my opinions. Because if I do that, then it's like I'm representing that agency, and that's not the case at all right here. I'm just chatting on my own time. So, but yeah, I do IT logistics, cybersecurity, system administration, that sort of thing, some network management. Got some certifications in that area, some degrees in it. So it's basically what I do. But yeah, it's pretty nerdy stuff. It can put some people to sleep, and it'll keep some people awake at night. So it's like the two extremes with this. But
that's why I had picked a couple people that I did to actually send out links to see if they were interested in joining us. See if we can't bring out the full nerd in all of this stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to answer. Like, I like talking through stuff because I'm not an expert in it, right? I have a very good overview of a lot of it.
I'm far away from anything to do with any type of expert of anything.
Yeah, well, but my point is, I'm not a super in-depth nerd on or like expert on all of this. I just have enough knowledge on the general topics that I can speak a little bit intelligently about it. But I'm very easily proven wrong, and sometimes. So feel free to push back and ask questions, because that's the gist of conversation. Otherwise, I'm just spouting nonsense with no challenge. So
sure.
But yeah, I got some interesting stuff about like
whatever you
combining.
got, you didn't send any to me, so I have no clue.
I can drop the links in the chat, or I can share my browser, whichever is easier for you.
Either way, however you want to do it. If as long as we can all see it and we can all follow along.
All right, the biggest one that I think is probably the most interesting of everything, the one that kind of woke me up. This came out a while ago, but the kind of one that woke me up, and a lot of people saw it, but a lot of people missed it, or at least missed the impact of it. I'm gonna drop it here in the private chat.
Okay.
There you go. It's a New York Times article, so apologies for the automatic gag reflex that everybody just had when I said the word New York Times. But on this topic, they're actually pretty good. They did some journalistic work, so I'll give them credit.
This on?
So this is on location tracking.
The interactive opinion location tracking. Okay.
This is just
am I looking at an ad?
Nope. Start scrolling down. And the page will start filling out.
Right. That's why I'm like, what is this that I'm looking at here? Before I'm like, like I said, it looked like it was an ad at first, and it says these are the actual locations for millions of Americans at the New York Stock Exchange.
Those green dots, again, actual locations.
Every green dot is actual location. In the beachfront neighborhoods in LA, in secure facilities like the Pentagon, you can see there's billions and billions of people everywhere doing things at the White House, Mar-a-Lago.
This is while Trump was president is when this came out. So then it gets into the actual article, the juicy bits. Okay, so I'll summarize this because it's pretty long and lengthy. The point is, turns out a lot of people have known about this, but you can buy bulk location data for people, anonymized, quote unquote, anonymized. And people have been buying that for a long time. Bounty hunters, talking governments, because governments can purchase it from third parties without needing anything with the Fourth Amendment. And so they'll buy this bulk data, and the researchers of this article, they actually went out and bought the data themselves and overlaid it with maps. And you think, oh, cool, it's just data, it doesn't have my name attached to it or anything. But look at the number there.
Billion location pings on phones of more than 12 million Americans.
Think through that, though, that number scale. That's 12 million people giving 50 billion location pings. And that's just one little piece of data. So that's not the entirety of their data set.
Right.
But those are, so
Moved
each
to
data is
several major
associated with
cities,
one ID.
including those 4 cities on the list: DC, New York, San Francisco, and LA.
Yep.
Each piece of information in the file represents a precise location of a single smartphone over a period of several months in 2016 and 2017. The data was provided to Times Opinion by sources who asked to remain anonymous because they were not authorized to share it and would face severe penalties of doing so. The sources of information said they'd grown alarmed, but now it might be abused and urgently wanted to inform the public and lawmakers. Oh, really? It might just be abused?
So I did the math on that. It's
You'd be
approximately
abusing
15.
such a thing.
It's approximately like 15 something pings per day per person that was involved in this. 15 location pings per person per day. So if you think about that, right? The actual implications, and they break it down in the article really well later on. And the actual implications of this is, one, of course, again, they don't have the names to go with these cell phone IDs, right? Supposedly these are stripped down. That's how they can get away with selling this. When you agree to your, like, all the terms and service and all these apps, your calculator app, your Sudoku app, your Maps app, obviously, but every other app that you use is selling that data. That's how they make money instead of ads. They sell those pings, and those pings then get associated with your advertiser ID. They get associated with your IP address if somebody has that, and other factors, not necessarily your name, and sometimes even your email address and whatnot, right? So these pings, you have 15 pings per day per person in these locations, including Secret Service agents, including the president and his kids, including FBI, including military, including doctors, nurses, police officers, literally every career field. And you see where they start their day every day. Again, you have 15 points of data every single day for 3 months for these people. So you have where they start their day, where they go on the way to work, what route they take on the way to work, where they go to lunch during their work break, and what time they come home. Because that data corresponds with the time information. And it's not just that. You're like, okay, cool. So great, they have a location. That doesn't mean they have a name. Like, all right, well, what about if you get a kid whose parent always seems to, or you have 2 points of data, right? They coincide. They both leave the same place at the same time every single morning. And then one of them gets dropped off at this address that's in an elementary school. And then the other one goes to work at the White House every single day. And then they come back. That person might be the most private person in the world, doesn't have a Facebook, doesn't have anything else. But all the person has to do to get the access to that Secret Service agent's information is hack that school database. And how secure are elementary school databases? You tell me. But
yeah, I mean, you're not gonna be like, oh, this is Fort Knox, let's lock this down. No, not at all.
No, not at all, right? So the Secret Service protects their info.
You know, maybe behind 1 or 2 passwords at the most, and it's very, I mean, it's something that you wouldn't normally do.
No, and like, it's not just that, right? It's hospital data, right? Because they could be going to the hospital every day. Isn't just a school. You might be going to the gym. How secure is the gym membership roster, right? And so all somebody has to do to actually identify these people isn't have their name, isn't have their Facebook information or app or Twitter or anything like that, right? All they have to do is a couple points of data that go to the same house every night, and then find the easiest target as to which one of those people go to somewhere whose membership is public, right? So a lot of high schools will post their high school pictures and senior prom pictures and stuff like that on their websites and Facebooks. So you just go, all right, cool. This person was here at this day. And this picture was also posted here at this day. So then you can just narrow it down and find, all right, cool. Now we know a Secret Service agent has a kid going to this elementary school 10 blocks from the White House. And now you have a blackmail or any other form of extortion.
This right here is what a lot of people don't understand. that they don't really pay attention to is this, like, this stuff right here. Apple's App Store created Americans have an app by app consented to just such a system of being run by the government that can see your every move.
Yep.
Every single one of them. I'm not saying that, they use Apple for instance, or whatever, but when you think about it, Google, Android, same thing.
Yeah, Android's probably definitely worse. Yeah, it's definitely worse than Apple. But when it comes to that, but they're both equally evil. Like as far as giving away and selling your data, they just use it for different purposes or sell it to quote unquote better people. But it's not even up to It's not up to Apple or Android, right? It's up to the apps that you install. So those apps alone, you're consenting directly to the app.
The second that you signed up for the phone, you signed up for their settings or whatever that say that you pay an extra so much in tax or whatever every time that you make a payment for the fire department paying.
Yep. That's another one too. So everyone thinks, oh well, I turn off my location history, I turn off my my GPS data. No, you don't. Trust me, you don't. You turn off the ability for you to see your location data and GPS information, but you don't turn off the ability for them.
Turning it off so you can't see it.
Exactly. It's a fake sense of security. And like somebody says, manipulate you like a puppet, Mike. Yeah, it's 100% true. But basically, they trick people into assuming they're safe by giving them a couple toggle switches on their phone. They toggle on and off. Doesn't change a thing. Specifically because if people call 911, 911 needs to be able to locate that phone. And that doesn't just use triangulation. It uses an actual ping, like a GPS ping on the smartphones. And that system was actually what people were selling that data, bypassing any VPNs you might have, any location spoofers you might have, any location toggles that you turn off your location in the app. That data that is supposed to just be for law enforcement was actually getting sold to bounty hunters and bail bondsmen to locate people after they ran away from their bail. There was a big scandal recently too. But anyway, it's just the fact that you don't have to have secure passwords or unsecure passwords. You don't have to have any of that, and they will still know exactly where you are and who you are just by who you associate with. Yeah. So, and in the US, the one interesting thing about the EU is they actually have better privacy laws than the United States on a lot of that stuff, where the apps can't track you and use your data that way without your consent. But like
the seduction of these consumer products is so powerful that it blinds us to the possibility that there's another way to get the benefits of the technology without the invasion of privacy. But there is. All companies collect in this Location Information Act as what I have called tiny brothers, using a variety of data sponges to engage in everyday surveillance. We all know that's what they really do. I mean, to a point, if like I'm sitting here in front of this camera, it now sees me and is producing this out to anybody that you go and are, you're friends with. As long as you hit the like button, it's going to show up that you watched it and that they should too. And, that's why you hit the like button. Did I say hit the like button?
Yeah, that's the only way that I've actually seen. It's a legitimate way to bypass their tracking and security and all of that, is to actually just hit the subscribe button and like on YouTube, and it completely bypasses all of that. It just cuts through the algorithm, and you just get completely free and clear.
Right. It prevents me from having to go into like customizations each time and be like, now if you want to talk to me, subscribe. Because that's pretty much how it happens. It's just like, well, okay, let's see if you can't pick up a couple tonight. It's a fairly interesting topic. So
they have
anything that was really good in here that we need to hit a certain point on.
Scrolling through it real quick to see if I missed anything. That's basically the overall gist of it. It shows how how dangerous that is, that information, just by carrying around a tracker and a GPS with you all the time. And it's not just GPS, right? You could remove the GPS, but Bluetooth and IP address down at the very bottom there talks about how Bluetooth and other sources do the same thing, right? They ping other Bluetooth sources. That's another thing that we got tricked into is Samsung tags and Apple tags that people put on their phone keys and other things like that, right? To track them. That tracker ID is associated with you, and it's associated with your like whatever login account that you use to log in with it, your Google account or your Samsung account, whatever. So the IDs of these pings are associated with those IDs as well. So now they not only know where you drive, they know where you park your car when you go to work because you leave your tracker in your car. And they know if your kid, like I know some people who would put it in the backpacks of their kids so they can keep an eye on the location of their kids, the little Apple AirTags or whatever. And with that, even if you don't give your kid a phone, you're like, no, you're just going to get a little tag so I can keep track of you. Everyone else can keep track of you as well. And your kid. So interesting.
It's quite an article that you got here.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that the New York Times went this deep into big government surveillance and other company surveillances, because it's a surprisingly in-depth article. But this was, I think, 2017 when this came out, or 2018. So might have been later, 2019. Yeah, it's 2019. But they used this same data, this same like type of information when they did that video by Dinesh D'Souza that I won't mention because it would, as with YouTube. But the one about the mules. They use this exact same data to identify who was going by drop boxes so many times a day and stopping, and that's as far as I'll go. But they use the same method. They purchased data this way and identified the locations of people. What would they want to do with little old me? Sparkles asked. You have no idea. I'm just kidding. No.
Barbara Vance, I'm not buying a blackout bag that blocks my phone signal. I mean,
see, that's the thing, though. Then you're gonna have to pull it out at some point, and the second you pull it out,
take the battery out of it. That's all you need to do. Just take the battery out of it.
To some things that doesn't actually change anything, because the low energy Bluetooth can run off of the little 12-volt batteries that are on a lot of motherboards. So if you have your laptop, your ping on your laptop can still be located through that.
The 2032, 2024,
Yep.
Of button cells. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those ones.
Those things are fun. three for $10 usually, almost everywhere.
Yeah, no, this one is like the solution, the Sun technology. I don't think that's the case either. I honestly, like, at this point, the technology, even without the trackers, now that we have cameras everywhere and we have, like, do you see that what Amazon was doing with the Ring stuff? This is like a super interesting thing too. I'm not sure if you saw what they were doing. Let me pull up an article on it. But Amazon basically has a neighborhood snitch program where all of the Ring doorbells operate on their own separate, you know how the internet runs like device to device, to routers, to switches, to ISPs and servers, and like across the network. That runs on one system and protocol. The Ring doorbells and Google doorbells don't only use that. They also have their own proprietary like mesh Wi-Fi network system. So if you have a Ring doorbell that's not connected to the internet, but just on your local local Wi-Fi, local server, it can still talk to other Ring doorbells. So if your neighbor has a Ring doorbell that's connected to the internet, they can still access information if they want to. Not the same, they can't access the same stuff, and they say they don't do this, but they encourage you to connect them all. And then they actually have a deal with the police, like it's an actual deal with federal law enforcement and with local police organizations. They were advertising this, that if people could sign up to protect their neighborhoods, and they would share that data with the police so that the police could go through and review community footage without warrant.
real quick, Mike O'Hagan said, and it didn't come over here, it stayed over on the YouTube side. It said, if anyone can't just think of all this stuff through, through and see where the bullshit is heading, it's going to some very dark places. Okay.
Yeah, and people talk about 1984 and that type of thing, right? And it's kind of funny because we're so far beyond that. Because in 1984, right, you had the TVs on the wall that watched you that you couldn't move and turn off. But now we carry the TVs in our pocket. This is our 1984 TV. We willingly say, yes, please watch me. Please watch me, bid daddy government.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how many people carry a phone around with them all day long, doing multitude of things, looking at just the phone.
Here, check this out. The pop another.
Got a different article, something.
Yeah, this one's along the same lines as the Amazon.
This one from New York Times is quite lengthy.
It's worth the read. It's worth the read. They're very thorough.
Take this right now. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to copy the link to it, and I'm going to go throw it in the description. Throw it in the description immediately so everybody can actually see where this is. Now, Printergod, real quick, do you actually have a channel that you'd like people to start subscribing to for any other reason?
Not at the moment, no. Sometime in the future, maybe, but not yet. I appreciate it, though.
I mean, he'll be around here.
The only channel that I really want them to subscribe to right now is probably one of my favorite ones on YouTube at the moment. It's called Koolfrogg.
It's 2 G's. There you go. I was going to say it's only me. Just kidding.
There's some secondary channels that are like okay, I guess. One is Jessica Reloaded. They're getting off the ground. Let's talk about prepping. It's a little bit, it is what it is, but it's worth a shot. Give it a shot. But besides those, I don't know. The lawyer ones are all boring, so don't bother with those ones. But yeah.
Yeah. Stay away from that. You don't want anything to do with any of that. Did you have another? You did.
I sent it in private chat with the other article.
There it is. Yeah. I'm not paying attention, as you can see.
That's okay.
Let's see. This is a political article. Amazon gave Ring videos to police without owner's permission. Oh, really? Go figure. Amazon
2022
handed Ring video doorbell footage to police without owner's permission at least 11 times so far this year. Figure that highlights the unfettered access to the company is giving police to doorsteps across the country. That is really scary when you think about it, that they're actually giving that many people access or giving them access to our door, our cameras. If we have old stuff saved that we didn't say anything about it because we didn't see it or whatever, are they going to start finding people liable for harboring footage, even if they didn't realize that they did?
Yeah, they can use it without a warrant because Ring, you agreed to terms and service, right? And so you give the authority to Ring to,
which is Amazon,
give that, and it's not just Ring, it's also Google, and it's also Arrow, I think, is another one. There's a few other doorbell companies, right? They're all the same thing. You sign up, you get a cloud storage for your videos for free, or a small $5 fee a month. You pay them for the privilege to snitch on you. But and it's not just like Galaxy says implied permission. It's not just implied permission. It's explicit permission. When you sign that terms of service, you hit OK, I accept. It's explicit permission. Implied permission actually got overturned by the Supreme Court, I believe, or it was the Circuit Court. I forget. But the one where when you scroll through and it says, by using this service, you agree to XYZ, and then you don't actually interact with that button, that got overturned, and they found that to be not binding because there was no act involved in consenting beyond the use of the service, and it could very easily be missed, especially for people with disabilities or dyslexia or something like that didn't read it all. But the actual clicking of the button saying I consent or I agree, that does get upheld. and you're giving these people explicit permission to use whatever's in those TOSs.
Yeah, it's amazing what's in the terms of service that most people don't really read the full thing on or whatever, because they're like, who reads?
Yep.
Who
And
has
the
time to read this small print? You know,
Do you see those
that's on
stories?
this little piece of, a flat piece of paper. When it comes down to it, it's really like it's 10 pages worth of content that you're trying to actually, read out. And
Somebody did the math or whatever on like if people actually read all of the terms of service for all the apps they use and everything that they use. I forget how long they would have to read to actually read it through at a normal reading pace. It's actually obscene. And somebody found it was some embedded stuff. I think it was in the Windows XP or Windows Vista, one of those, like Windows 95, one of the old Windows operating systems. Windows had embedded a little blurb about if you're reading this. It's like somewhere deep in the terms of service. If you're reading this, contact this number or something like that, and you get a prize. And this guy read it and found it like 10 years later and got the prize. It's pretty funny because nobody before then actually found it. Let me find that story. That's actually kind of funny.
That's amazing. It's amazing that somebody would actually go to that length of hiding something in the terms of service to see if anybody actually did read it. Makes you want to go read your terms of service.
Here it
just
is.
in case.
This one's actually this is a good one. This person actually made out like a bandit in the private chat again.
Again, I'll drop these links for the since anybody wants to check them out in depth any further than what we are. Let's go, AmericaShirts.
Oh yeah, and if people think that by using encryption on their phones, like Signal apps and things like that, that they can get around the government reading your stuff,
He just
trust
messaged
me, you
a few
can't.
minutes ago and said he's on his way. Yay! AmericaShirts is coming. Everybody catch that? For the first time ever, AmericaShirts is coming. Printergod's like, what in the world is that?
Yeah.
Let's see here. So what we got? When not reading the fine print can cost your soul. Nobody reads the fine print, but maybe you should. Georgia high school teacher Donlan Andrews wins $10,000 reward after she closely read the terms and conditions that came from a travel insurance policy she purchased to a trip in England. Squaresmouth, a Florida insurance company, had inserted language promising a reward to the first person who emailed the company. We understand such customers don't actually read contracts or documentation that buying something, but we know the importance of doing so. We created a top secret pays to read campaign in an effort to highlight the importance of reading policy documentation from start to finish. Not every company is so generous to demonstrate the importance of reading the fine print. Many companies don't give, they take. The mischievous clauses tend to pop up from time to time, usually in cheeky England. That's fun.
Sign up for community service because you didn't read the fine print.
You just never know what you just signed up for if you don't read that fine print.
Exactly.
That's very fun. But yeah, we'll drop these in the descriptions if anybody wants to read them in length. I'm not reading them in length.
Speaking of reading things in length, never mind. Here, check this one out too. This one's actually from WikiLeaks, but this is from the Snowden files. And he dropped a lot of the information about how the CIA uses malware and infects devices to bypass encryption, to bypass like your Telegram, your WhatsApp, your Signal, all that stuff that you think is protecting you from people reading your messages. Spoiler alert, half of these apps were developed and created by the intelligence agencies to begin with. as an entrapment technique.
Oh.
So there is that. There's a big story recently. This one wasn't Snowden. This was actually more recent. It was one of the biggest apps in southern Australia. I think it was created by the Australian government in coordination with the NSA. The app was specifically created by the feds and marketed as a privacy app, saying, "Hey, nobody can read what you can say. This bypasses all of your government's, censorship, blah blah blah, pro red pill, blah 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 blah, all that good stuff." Right? They sell it. The drug dealers ended up using the app, and they used it as a honeypot for the drug dealers, and then they could just record all of their information because you're trusting that the people that created the app are, one, not glowies, and two, actually gonna stand up against the feds if the feds actually step in. Those are very, very big assumptions to make these days. So yeah, and I just thought it was funny because a lot of these apps we assume, especially like VPNs, right? You think of VPNs, everybody's shilling another VPN, Nord, PIA, was it? There's a billion VPNs, right? I'm not saying that they are.
Almost any antivirus usually throws in some kind of
100%. Norton is the worst thing you can possibly put on your computer. McAfee, same thing. McAfee is probably the slowest thing. It'll hurt your computer more than most viruses.
Usually.
Speaking from experience.
I still have my oldest, a super old account that I use, and I get a really good deal on it, so I still use it.
Well, to be fair, the best antivirus right now is honestly Windows Defender. Because it's the lightest, it works best with the operating system, and it actually catches as much, if not more, than most of these other things. And it's free. You don't have to do anything. So just saying. But because basically Windows Defender went in there and found all the signatures. That is what a glowy would say. But yeah, well, my point is, if I was a intel company or intelligence company, if I was the NSA, which I'm not, by the way, but if I was the NSA, I would consider it a failure if I haven't by now purchased a VPN company as a shell corporation and marketed it as a privacy focused company so that people would start using my company, because by nature of a VPN, you're going to be attracting the unsavory characters or the privacy minded characters, in your opinion, right? Yeah. From their perspective. And so you're just going to be, it's basically, they're going to come to you rather than you having to go to them and break into their stuff. So just saying, think twice before you do stuff on a VPN that you shouldn't, because yeah,
it's the same. They figure out where you're from, you're still just as screwed. Yeah,
because people go onto VPNs, right, on their computer that they've already logged into Google on, so they already have their information. They already have their MAC address. IP address is hidden, but your advertising ID isn't. Your cookies aren't cleared every time you join the VPN. It's all the VPN does is hide your traffic from your IP, from your service provider, for example, Comcast or AT&T, right, or whoever,
just to prevent DDoS, whatever shit.
Correct. And so that's why I use one sometimes for that, especially when you go into an airport, right? It's a very good thing to use because people can see your traffic. If I have a laptop in an airport, I can turn on my Wireshark, plug in my second antenna, unless it already has two, and gather any traffic available on the Wi-Fi, the free Wi-Fi that's on the airport or Starbucks or McDonald's. And it's extremely easy to do. So, and you can set up a little spoofer that intercepts their traffic and pretends to be the router. And so you're actually processing all of their data and opening it up and then forwarding it on to them first. So you can filter and intercept and manipulate what they see. Happens a lot. Some of the biggest airports in the world are actually monitored that way. So yeah. But if you're going to use Wi-Fi, especially public Wi-Fi, use a VPN. It protects you from other weirdos. It will not protect you from the government, and it will not protect you from the big data.
This is the one right here. And this is what we were saying earlier. Susie says, hey, these are ways to protect yourself, folks. You can turn off lots of stuff on your phone's instructions are on the tube. Yeah, you're only shutting it off for yourself. That's the thing. You're not shutting it off for the government. The government's still going to be able to see you.
Yeah, you're still using a Google phone, and Google will give that information to the government if they ask for it. Because if you notice that Ring article, it said, we only give it to them in emergencies. What's an emergency? January 6th was an emergency, right? I'm not saying it was a good thing what they did on January 6th. Exactly. But to
I don't
them,
just bring anybody around.
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do.
No, but I could ramble on the security thing for a while. But my
Go
point is,
for it, brother. Go
don't
for it.
trust
I'm not
don't trust the
stopping you.
marketing spin. Don't trust the ads. Don't trust the Linus Tech Tips to tell you what makes you safe or not. But actually, he's actually pretty good. But don't trust a lot of these companies because they are selling you something, and you are the product if it's free. So, just saying, just be very careful
Right.
with that stuff.
Oh, but only to you, Susie. It's only turned off to you. The other side of the world can still see the other side of that ping. It's still there.
Yep. Yep, it looks like it's turned off because you hit the turn off button and it uses less power, right? So your phone is acting like it restricts other apps from using it. So if you don't want a really sketchy app to be using your data, sure, but it can probably still get it anyway. So,
Right?
yeah. But yeah, it's
No, I agree 1,000 times over. Yeah.
yeah, the privacy thing is crazy.
That college education did give me something. I mean, I'm not totally.
And this is common
stupid.
sense. Like she said, like she learned she or he learned all Ellie Fant said they learned a lot of this when they were growing up. Like this is common sense. We've been told this all our lives, but we ignored it and move on. And we get told one thing, we're like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They're not after me. They're not after me. I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't have anything to hide. Let them into my living room. Why not? I don't have anything to hide. Might as well go sit down every Tuesday for an interview with the police because I don't have anything to hide. That's what you're doing. And you're giving all of these people your information.
That would be an interesting job. Sit down with the police every Tuesday.
Right. Imagine though, like
Just
you can
imagine
see
your
a
life being
leftoid
that
government
way.
doing that. Yeah.
Right.
They're like, hey, we need a debriefing for every citizen every
What's
single
the
Tuesday.
easiest way to hear what everybody's saying without them realizing that we can hear everything they're saying. And they create things like Discord or,
Oh yeah, Discord. Discord's not hidden. They can read everything that you do in Discord. They will ban you for using certain words in Discord. It's we pretend that Discord's a private community, but it's not.
No, nowhere near.
Short Order Cook asked about Switzerland being the only country in the world. I don't think it's the only country in the world. I'm not entirely sure, though. I'm not too familiar with international data agreements, so I can't really speak to that. But I wouldn't be like Switzerland might say, hey, you can't use the data, but people still sign the terms of service and okay and agree. So they can't steal the data without you hitting okay like they can here. But people still hit okay because they still want Google Maps. They still want Waze. They still want everything else. They still want their Starbucks app. There's a story. I'm not sure if you saw it recently. It was Starbucks and a couple other apps were selling data. Let me just find this real quick. It was actually a pretty interesting story. They were getting sued because they were selling data to a third-party data broker. And that third-party data broker ended up giving it to like some pretty unsavory characters. It was being used in court and against people without their consent, like Fourth Amendment type stuff, because the government, basically, the government can't go in and just get your data, right? They can't tell Google, "Give me the data," without a warrant. Google a lot of times obliges, but they can't just force them. However, the government can go and buy the data. If they buy the data, they bypass all of that. And as long as all your data is for sale out there, they will buy it, and it will be upheld in court as being a legitimate purchase and a Fourth Amendment waiver because you sold it. But anyway, and that's like Starbucks collecting your IP address for some reason, like coffee. What does coffee have to do with my geolocation? But
Right.
let me try to find this real quick.
Has everything to do with it, so they can actually see what you bought. They can assume that if you stopped at that coffee shop, most likely you bought some form of coffee. And now they know, more about your life. And when you watch your ads, you watch your stuff, watch anything when you go homeless, and you'll be like, huh, wonder why I keep on getting Starbucks ads every day. Okay, let's see.
There you go. There's that. That's the one I was talking about. It's Waze, Starbucks, and a few other places.
I wonder who owns Starbucks.
Pretty sure it's an independently owned company. Might be wrong though.
Police secretly use smartphone location data called from Waze, Starbucks, and other popular apps. We argued only this week that the sale of smartphone location data is out of control, and now report today provides a perfect illustration. It found that location data was pulled from a number of popular smartphone apps for use by the US police without the knowledge of app users or even the company who created the apps. Billions of location records and some 250 million phones were searched by more than 20 US government agencies after the private data was purchased from the company called Fog Data Science. Let's see here.
And it's all legal, folks. It's all legal.
It's quite an interesting article.
And if you
Associated
think about it
Press gives
too,
a link for the report. Holy cow.
it's not just being sold to the US agencies, right? This is a private company. They're selling it to everyone. They're selling it to China. They're selling, like somebody mentioned in chat, Chinese collecting DNA data. That's not just DNA data, right? These people aren't just selling it to US companies. They're selling it to literally everyone. Highest bidder, nefarious actors. Doesn't matter. So, good thing to keep in mind.
Some interesting stuff that's going on here. And I'm going to actually go and throw that link in the description right away. Just so it's there.
This one I thought was just interesting because it's along that vein, but a little bit different. How AT&T, this one's pretty glowy, pretty fun. Here, I'll send this one. How AT&T has NSA hookups. This has been known for a while, so this isn't new news. But again, a lot of people, like, you put all this together, it paints a big picture, right? And AT&T collaborates on NSA spying through web of secretive buildings in the U.S. Sounds very conspiracy theories, right? It's not. They have 11 or so locations across the United States, or I think 9 at the time.
Are they
probably
really
more now.
secretive buildings? Or are they just buildings and they're just like, let's go take up this square footage up in this top corner?
No,
of
they
this
own the
building?
entire building. They own the entire building in New York City and Denver and Chicago, Illinois, and a few other places.
People work there, they just don't tell people that they work there.
Yep, pretty much. It got leaked through. I think part of the leak came from Prism stuff from Snowden, and then it got uncovered even more through AT&T documents or whatever, demonstrating that AT&T technically owned the buildings but didn't operate them. Turned out it was actually being operated by the NSA. NSA denies anything; they don't know anything, of course. But it got confirmed by a few different sources. But it talks about how they came across this. But basically, how this program works, they say big secret facilities. What does that mean? The NSA isn't supposed to be spying on Americans. What they can do is collect all of the data as long as they're not identifying it to one person. They can just take everything that passes through the internet and put it on a server. And if they get a warrant for a specific person, go back and look it up. It's just like a Wayback Machine, right, for the internet. So they have that capability, but also they don't have that requirement for third nationals, so like or second or third countries. So Canada data that has to flow through the United States to get to Google's servers, the NSA, CIA can look at that. Zero warrant requirement whatsoever. So what they do is they tap into the main nodes of inbound information and inbound traffic to the United States, because half the world's data comes through U.S. tech companies at some level, Netflix, Google, Amazon, Facebook, etc. All of that is free game. And if U.S. data goes out of the country and comes back in, that's foreign data now coming into the country. So if Google's server is sitting in Mexico across the border, and the data goes to Google server and comes back. As far as the US government knows, hey, that's data coming in from Mexico to the US. We can analyze it and do whatever we want with it. So they built these facilities to intercept and be able to analyze or retain any data coming from overseas locations through AT&T's network, which is one of the major network carriers in the United States. They connect to the server nodes that create the backbone of the internet. So just an interesting thing about how we look at the internet, like, hey, you have privacy. Well, not really if your data is going overseas and coming back. It's not really private if you're not an American citizen, or you're an American citizen overseas. They don't know you're an American citizen. As far as they know, it's just data coming from overseas. So good things to keep in mind when you're overseas, especially.
Sure.
Because they can look at whatever they want.
All right.
But yeah, and it's not just looking at AT&T data, by the way. So you're like, I don't use AT&T.
AmericaShirts, please bring yourself in here.
Yeah, get in here, AmericaShirts. Sitting here talking to myself here, and Frog. Got to have some conversation.
It's good to have the extra person to actually keep the conversation, because if you would have taken our current conversation and added him into it, we wouldn't be sitting at only the hour. We would have been greater than an hour and a half. There you go. Come on, start at TR. Start the chant.
Yeah, somebody asked about how giving away ICANN actually affected all of this. It really didn't affect anything. ICANN is sure, it's a domain naming system and whatnot. It sets the policies for the internet. However, it was going to get given away eventually, and all that does is it makes ICANN a third party. So in a way, it lets us use ICANN in ways that an American organization wouldn't be allowed to be used. So it actually expands the powers of ICANN a lot. It doesn't limit America's capability. It actually increases it by making ICANN an international organization to set policies and set naming systems and assign all that stuff, right? The ICANN is the organization that determines all of that. Like, why does google.com equal 176 et cetera, et cetera? When you look up the IP address, ICANN is the one that sets those rules and those standards. America used to control that. We give it away because said, hey, we're an international blah, blah, blah. Everybody hold hands and sing Kumbaya. In reality, by giving it away,
it would really help the situation if AmericaShirts would just bring himself in here for a second.
Yeah. Braxman. I think I saw Rob Braxman. His phones. I'm pretty sure he was on another YouTuber's channel recently, and he was talking about his Google free phones. The problem with Google free phones, though, and the thing about Google, is that it's really convenient. I use Google. I have Google Home things in my house. I barely ever use a VPN unless I'm traveling. And I know all this stuff because it's convenient, because it's useful, and I like Google stuff. So, it's great if you want to use a Google free phone, but if you're going to get into that, you have to understand that you're going to get into a massive barrier for what you can do, what you're used to. For example, you won't be able to use the Starbucks app the way you intend it. You won't be able to use the same navigation with the same accuracy as Google Maps or Waze, because Waze is owned by Google. You won't be able to there's so much of that you won't be able to do because Google has made it so convenient. It's that they have a little hook covered in honey, but the honey is so good that we just willingly eat honey. Because I have a Samsung phone. It's probably the worst thing for tracking possible. Probably literally the worst thing for privacy. But my point is, we say yes, get away from Google.
I'll be right back.
You're good. We say we want to avoid Google. We want to avoid all of this stuff. I'm saying these things, bringing up these stories and whatnot, not to scare you away from using the services. They're going to find you one way or the other. You don't use a Google phone, they're going to say, hey, why does this house not have anybody using a phone? And it's also has people leaving the driveway every day that we see on the Ring doorbell. So obviously they're going to know, hey, this house has a weirdo who doesn't like phones and is probably a prepper. Let's keep an eye on him. So by not using one, you're actually still kind of playing into the system and identifying yourself in another way. So it's you kind of got to go with what's easiest at some point. But Dutch Bros is actually delicious. I love Dutch Bros. You're onto something, Joseph Smith. Not gonna lie. Yeah, it is possible. 100%, it is possible. It's just it's very inconvenient, and the vast majority of people will never do it. I would say the percentage of people do it is like less than 1% of people that would actually even try, and of those people, probably 1% would succeed in actually not, like fully going through with de-Googlifying everything. So I would say that's a losing battle. I think the biggest difference and the biggest impact we could make if we're concerned about this is actually setting policies and setting limits and rules governing these corporations. Because like Ron DeSantis said, capitalism is not corporatism. They're they're two different things. There's a big difference between the two. And Republicans and right-wingers are very, very used to just rolling over and just saying, hey, it's business, it's a private company, they do whatever they want, blah, 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 blah. While also giving them government protections and monopolizing their intellectual data and protecting them in certain ways, like Google, Disney, and these companies. As a society, the only way that's really going to change is if we actually put stops and limits and controls on these companies from abusing and manipulating people through terms of service that are shady, and actually getting some lawyer speak going on. We have to control. Yeah, 100%. There's a reason why they won't rewrite Section 230, because they get paid. But by going away from Google, you're not going to stop them. By going away from Apple, you're not going to stop them. You're just going to encourage them, because you're just going to be the weirdo. And by you being the weirdo, they're going to point to you and say, look, he's crazy. Don't be like him. And more people say, yeah, I don't want to be crazy. I don't want to be like him. I'm going to go do my own thing and just be like with Google and all of them. So they use you against your own agenda, which is counterproductive. It's a weird way that humans work, but it is what it is. The only way things are going to change is if policymakers put laws in place, revoke Section 230, or change it to actually protect the consumer. The GDPR, though not perfect, in Europe was actually useful. They're really crazy too, Susie. But the GDPR was actually useful in that it rolled back companies' rights to just abuse that relationship with the consumer through sneaky ways. It's not perfect. There's still some sketchy stuff in there. It still gives all of your data to the government, but at least it rolled something back. But it didn't. In my opinion, it didn't go far enough. But yeah, so that's one caution, I would say. Just we can't run away from it. In the biblical terms, you are in the world, but be not of the world. Right? We kind of got to play by the rules. We got to give to Caesar what Caesar. We got to participate in modern society at some level. I mean, you don't have to. You can go live in Idaho. I don't really care. But you can't just run away from it entirely, because they won't let you run away from it entirely. Unfortunately, we live in a world with 8 billion people, and that's just not gonna work. Yeah, regulating is bandages. You are correct. And when I say regulate it, I'm actually advocating for the government to have more power, which is kind of dumb. So you're kind of right. But at some point, we have to. When I say regulation, I'm talking about kind of in the Ricada sense of when my liberty starts being infringed, your liberty kind of stops there. Yeah, your fist, my face, that analogy. When the companies are manipulating and lying to consumers about what they're doing with information, I think that's a line in the sand where we can say, all right, maybe we've had enough of this, and we should roll that back. It's not that I want to give the government more power over companies. I really don't, because they will abuse it. North Idaho. That's literally the promised land. Southern to mid Idaho, in my opinion, just because I like tech. But if you're really out there, like Idaho's like literally the promised land. It's Midwestern, Northern, Yosemite, or not Yosemite. Yikes, brain fart. Yellowstone. Why did I say Yosemite? Anyway.
What? What,
Talking
what
about
are you
Idaho.
talking about?
Somebody's talking about Idaho, and it's like, yes, it's
Oh,
literally the
okay.
promised land. So I have a formula for a good place to live, and it's one, they leave me the heck alone, right? No commies trying to tell me how to live, or Republicans trying to tell me how to live, for that matter. Two,
Sure.
no mosquitoes. Massive, massive important topic there. No mosquitoes. Screw mosquitoes. They can all perish in hell. All the mosquitoes. Anyway, three, and if fish are going to die because they can't eat mosquitoes, then screw the fish. Like, I don't care. Three, it has to be a place that's actually pretty. And I don't like the desert. So that rules out Arizona and the southern states. I don't like the swamplands. That rules out Florida because also mosquitoes. And four, it has to be within 45 minutes of a Best Buy, right? So as long as it meets those four requirements, that's basically the promised land. And Idaho basically checks most of that. Colorado too, except Colorado has a lot of commies. So it's kind of misses out on one.
Let me see here real quick. See if where the nearest Best Buy is to me, and see if my place of residence would actually meet you. I've met the other three. I don't know the distance to the Best Buy. I'd almost think it would be that 45-ish minute window. If it was
That's
nearest
why I
big
picked Idaho. It's
city.
literally based on a formula. It works.
Uh-huh. That's why I like South Dakota, because it works out great for me.
Except, yeah, like parts of South Dakota, sure, but I lived in North Dakota for a while, and I must say Eastern South Dakota is kind of ugly. It's just flat. It's basically farmland. So not a fan for me. But like Western South Dakota, it's gorgeous.
It's wonderful.
It's beautiful.
I mean, not to give away where I actually am, but when it comes down to it, I mean,
It's a big place. Nobody's finding you. You're good.
he says the Globy in the room. Oh, AmericaShirts, I thought you were coming. Let's go, man.
I lived in Fargo for a while, Sparkles. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. Funny thing is, people that lived there were like, this is the best kept secret. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I'm like, bro, you have 2 trees and farms. That's it. It's boring.
Oh, he's maybe coming. Let's go, AmericaShirts. Do it. I know you have questions for Printergod about this tech stuff. I know you do. I don't want to end the show on you and just be like, well, that's all we got for you, folks.
No, there's some more stuff here I can talk about.
Printergod is very. You got a couple more articles. You got some.
This is more veering away from like
Matter.
IT specifically and getting more into the lines of kind of like foreign nations and their capabilities of IT, like Russia and Iran and things like that, China.
No, it's always important. We like to cover all kinds of aspects of things around here. We don't just go off of 1 article, 2 article, be like, good enough.
So here's a couple, but this one I thought was interesting because when I say foreign nations, it's not them attacking us; it's
you just
us
shared.
attacking them.
China,
allegedly.
Oh yeah, it's all about China. China.
Oh, by the way, I'm not in Idaho right now. I'm just saying that's like if I was to pick the perfect place,
That's where he's
it would
supposed to be. Is Idaho, but he's not.
To be honest, southern Wyoming, like northern Colorado, southern Wyoming, is also fits that bill. It's very beautiful there.
So this
and
is
very cheap.
China accuses NSA's Tao unit of hacking its military research university. China has accused the U.S. National Security Agency of conducting a string of cyber attacks aimed at aeronautical and military research oriented Northwestern Polytechnical University in the city of Jean in June of 2022. The National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center disclosed its findings last week that accused the Office of Tailored Access Operations. Was Tailored Access Operations? What is that?
Tailored access operations, like operations specifically targeted to one type of system. So, for example, it's tailored
Okay.
to a specific task or service or type of system.
So then a cyber warfare intelligence gathering unit and orchestrating thousands of networks against the entities located in the country. So it's tailored. It's to your individual access.
So a quick example of tailored would be if I send out a phishing email, right? You know what a phishing email is? When I send you an email that says, "Hey, you won $1,000," blah, right? A tailored phishing email, more like is considered spear phishing.
I know, like he likes to go spearfishing on a regular day. I'm gonna send him.
Exactly. So you're tailoring it to that, right? It's literally just the definition of tailoring. But in this case, a tailored attack would be a cyber attack specifically designed to infiltrate a certain type of hardware that they know is used on nuclear systems. So, for example, if they have nuclear centrifuges, like was used in Iran for a while, and I think it was the NSA, CIA, FBI, and all the Five Eyes were involved with Israel hacking that. They specifically sent a piece of malware that caused the centrifuge to spin up and burn itself out. And it was only impact the one type of centrifuge that Iran had. So no one else in the world, everyone got infected with it, but nobody actually got damaged because it only affected that one model of device. So it's a tailored attack specific to one hardware that they know is used for one system. So, yeah. But in this case, it's more sophisticated than that.
No, you're fine. There's a chat that caught my eye because when people tag me in them, I have the tendency to read them. And Alifant says, I have an interesting Russian story. Can I share? You always can share whatever you'd like. Oh, before you continue, I see you put part 1 up. Email me, koolfrogg@gmail.com, and I'll read the story out for you, as opposed to having you do it in a broken message, and we'll read it. We'll totally read it before the show ends. Sound good?
I love these stories because the guys that go over there, a lot of the military units, like she mentions there in the part 1, they see that there's units. I can't get too into it, but there are a lot of units in the military that their job is to monitor cyber activity and attacks specifically from overseas and identify them and log them and stuff like that. And it's pretty interesting stuff. You'd be surprised at the capabilities that some of these countries have, and some of them are overrated, to be honest. Like we always there's a tendency to anything that happens negatively when it comes to IT. We're like, the Russians are hacking us, or the Chinese.
Must be the Russians.
All right, must be the Russians or the North Koreans. Did you know that the Russians just now moved away from Windows XP?
Yeah, right.
Or the Indians do. Like honestly, the Pakistanis in Pakistan, they have more IT capabilities, in my opinion, purely layman opinion, than the North Koreans do.
Sure.
But everyone tries to pretend that North Korea is actually North Korea has capabilities. That's one of the ways they fund their government still. They actually do cyber attacks and ransomware attacks, and that's how they fund their stuff. That's why when the crypto died, they actually took a big hit to their economy because that's how they're getting a lot of their income. Crypto, and they do drugs there and drug smuggling. But a lot of these companies don't have countries don't have the capabilities that we pretend that they have. And a lot of it ends up not being that country at all. It ends up being some random kid in Sweden or some random kid in Nigeria that just happened to get a computer and figured out how to hack. So, and they just used the VPN that was in Russia. So when it comes through a Russian VPN farm, we're like, oh, Russia hacked us. Like, no, that's like, you can just set your location to Russia and use a Russian IP address and then hack somebody else. And it'll get blamed on Russia. And then they're the scapegoat. They're not innocent by any means. But we have to be careful when we assign, just because of the preliminary investigation, assign blame to who's attacking or who's causing damage or harm, or like everyone blames the ransomware on Russians and Ukrainians all the time. It's not the case. A lot of it's Americans doing it to Americans. Like, you'd be surprised. But because of VPNs and modern technology, you can pretend to be anywhere. So Cuba too. Cuba has some capabilities. Not as much, but they have it. That's the thing. Anybody, like 5 people in a group, can spin up a hacking lab and take down a government if the government's not protected properly. Ransomware attacks happen all the time. I was just
Was
looking
I
up the
supposed
articles
to be
today.
reading this article out, or does it?
I was just kind of sharing it as a general topic. There's some other ones along the same vein. I think the U.S. just recently announced 3
I
arraignment
just want to be
charges.
sure what I'm doing
No,
here.
you're-
I got articles and I'm not.
You're good. Just kind of to bring up the topic in general. But
Sure. Because he already read all these articles. That's why.
let's see. Trying to see if there's any more here.
Come on, shirts. Y'all make sure you hit that like button for me.
Another interesting thing is the Space Force officially took control of all U.S. military satellites last month, finally. So all U.S. military satellites are under the control of one branch. It used to be they were spread out across all the different branches.
Now the Space Force takes care of it.
Yep, all military satellites, all GPS activity, all basically space traffic control, reconnaissance
It
satellites.
sounds weird to call it the Space Force, but
People still don't think it exists,
It's
but
interesting.
it really does. Trust me, it really does. He's like, "Woo, good news." I mean, it's really inconsequential, to be honest. But it's
Oh.
kind of nerdy.
so there's the 2 parts. Okay, I got you, Ellie. So she says, during the 80s, my stepdad was deployed in Europe. He does a lot of secret squirrel type things. Christmas rolls around and he's at work. He was watching Russians. He was a young guy and was naive that hacked in, and on the printer came out a Christmas card from the Russians and his name on it. Yep, they watch us too. I'm sure there's an awful lot of people that watch an awful lot of people.
You know what it could have been too? It could have been a coworker messing with him. We do that a lot. Somebody asked, like Susie asked if that was a good thing as far as the consolidation. And it is, because a lot of people don't realize the threat of foreign interdiction in our satellite networks. And it leads right into IT. People don't realize the amount of information, data, control that the satellite grid has on your everyday life, no matter where you are. Your GPS system works because of the satellites. Your phone, your cell signal works because of the satellites. Your Tinder date works because of the satellites. I mean, except for a few people in the chat, but most people's didn't. Works because of the satellite. And it's not just location. People think, oh, GPS is location. No, it's a timing signal. That's stupid things that Joe goes on rants about the whole relativity thing. That's literally how that stuff works. Grimm's an expert in this, much more so than me. But specifically because of the way it works, they control banking, they control location, they control time signals for internet traffic, for time synced. For example, your whenever you log into your computer and it updates with the time, right? It automatically somehow knows the time. You don't actually have to set it every time. That's because of the satellites specifically, because the satellites have specific clocks around the world that are floating in space at a certain speed, and that's a constant, and it's known, and at a certain distance. And based on those calculations, that sends that information to time servers that synchronizes the entire internet. The entire internet runs based on this. So getting back to the point, why consolidating all of these under one service is a good idea. Right now, Russia and China are hacking, attacking, blowing up, sending grappling hook arms into space to take down satellites. They're building their own space stations. Both of them are building bases on the moon. All of this is happening. They have lower gravity in Canada. Yeah, they absolutely do. Canada doesn't exist. It's fake. It's basically just a giant Hollywood set. But anyway, all of this is happening And if the network gets disrupted and disturbed, then our avionics that work in our F-35s and our F-22s, our missile systems, our ICBMs that are laser guided that protect the country, satellite tracking systems that intercept things, all of this goes down. And the problem with having too many kings in the castle controlling all of these different things is deconfliction is a problem, where one satellite gets launched and the other one is into the same orbit, then it blows up and it destroys that orbit for the next 1,000 years. And that's not a good thing. So having this all controlled by one central location is a very good thing. It allows a single point of contact for any foreign governments that want to interact with us to work with. But truth zealot.
Who, me?
Oh no, somebody else. I just saw the name
Okay,
somewhere.
Nice logo, brother.
Thanks.
I like it. It's a good change.
That seems like it's on an FBI watch list, that logo.
It probably is. It most certainly is. This most certainly is.
Is that what took you so long trying to figure out how to put in a naming convention in so that everybody understood that AmericaShirts is the truth zealot?
No, it was other things, but anyway. We shan't go into such complicated matters. Hello, people. How are we?
Hey, do you make shirts?
I don't make them particularly, but I make all the designs.
Oh, are they good? Where can people find them?
Oh, well, you can.
Oh,
find
never
them.
mind. He said they're not good, so never mind. Don't tell people. We don't want people to go.
What? Who said they're not
Just
good?
kidding.
That's
Who would dare say?
AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com.
Thank you. It is AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com. Only the most base shirts on the planet. Go there and you can grab your Abolish the FBI t-shirt because screw those bastards. Pardon my Portuguese. I mean, hey, I am on the watch list, so what the heck, you know?
Oh,
Allegedly.
Hey, just pass me $20 and we'll take care of that.
From the Chloes to those ones that are being watched. Brought to you here.
Oh yeah, we know America Shirts real well. He has his own satellite.
Yeah, me and like Alex Stein and Tucker Carlson, you know, like you gotta, and Alex Jones, we all got our own. We all got our own satellites.
Carlson's a plant. He doesn't have to have one. He's a Fed. You know his family owns like partially own, I think they might have sold their stock now. I think it was the Banquet meals, like the frozen meals. Like his family fortune is from that. Like he's actually like an Tucker Carlson's like mother's a heiress for that Banquet meals or whatever.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah.
I never knew that.
Random gee whiz information for you. I think it was Banquet.
Gee whirlikers. Excuse me. Pardon me.
What brings America Shirts around?
I said I was coming
brother.
around.
It's good to see you. Any of the show. It's a hard question. I get it. Simple now it works.
Here's this thing. Does Tucker Carlson's family own Swanson?
Oh, it was Swanson, not Banquet. Yeah, the Swanson. So his birth mother, I guess, was an heiress.
Patricia Swanson, who married Tucker Carlson's father when Tucker was 10 years old, is an heiress to wealth generated by Swanson TV Dinner Company. Her grandfather, called Carl Swanson, founded, but the family sold Swanson branded food products to Campbell's in 1955. Details about Patricia Swanson inherited have not been made to the public. So
apparently there's a bunch of rumors about how much he got if he actually got the money. And I'm like, I don't really care. But it's just interesting that he has a connection. But yeah. All those the nice college pension fund there. Anyway.
I asked America Shirts a question and he didn't want to answer me. It's like, nah, I'm not answering you. Did you watch the first half of the show?
Oh, no, I wasn't around for that.
Okay, I'm just asking a question so we know where you are with this. So he's like just a new person, hasn't caught anything of what's going on tonight. What do you got for
Read
us,
them all the
Printergod?
articles again.
Read them all the articles again.
Read them all the articles.
Articles?
Yeah.
I thought this was a throwdown. I didn't think we did that.
Well, he brought some articles with him so that
He did. Oh, okay. Well,
he had some talking points to go off of. So they're in the description down below.
I should have just gone to my like true glowy roots and got a PowerPoint presentation for you, like
Right?
everyone of the government.
I was kind of upset that I didn't get to see the PowerPoint.
You know that the military, like a lot of the military, just moved away from Office 2016 just now, just like within the last 6 months. Great.
Why is that? What's coming next?
No, well, now they're on Office 365, but it's just like they're so behind on technology. I don't know where that came from, but so much.
There had to have been something that they would change in 365 to make it the next best thing, because obviously they didn't think it was the next best thing for quite some time already.
No, they just didn't want to pay for it. It's all funding. It's all contracting. It's all games with them.
Sure.
But they're trying to buy their new plane. They're building the F-35 just came out, but they're building an entirely new drone plane network. This is like open information now. They haven't revealed what it looks like yet, but it's a new next generation fighter jet that works alongside fighter-sized drones, like just straight up fighter planes that are drones rather than just like dedicated drones. These ones actually look like fighter jets, and they can go like full hypersonic and whatnot. And it works with like a group. They fly in a group of like 5 or 6 at a time, communicating to each other, working with like Starlink and other satellites. That works. That's one of the reasons why Starlink got approved so fast, is because the military had been testing that since 2019 on their planes, because that gives them the data bandwidth to be able to stream real-time video like in super high quality and stuff. But yeah, they've been spending billions on this project now.
ooh, hey, look, there's this one link I was looking at here. AT&T collaborates on NSA spying through a web of secretive buildings in the U.S. Could this be one of the reasons why a certain somebody on a Christmas morn decided to make a boom boom in Tennessee, perhaps? Somewhere?
But I
allegedly?
missed the article you read. What do you say?
Oh, I'm looking at an article in the description, and it says AT&T collaborates on NSA spying through a web of secretive buildings in the United States. That's the headline with that.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Basically, it's the NSA. AT&T isn't the only one that does this, but they were the ones that got outed publicly because it turns out their businesses, the leases got leaked, and so they're found to be part of a program that does this. But the NSA connects to AT&T's network because AT&T controls a lot of the nodes that deals with the ingest of information from overseas and like the main hubs for the internet, where like the data traffics through. Because when you send an email, right, it goes from you to the nearest big city, basically, or the nearest information node. I'm going to just call it that. It's a lot more complicated, but it goes to there, and then it goes to the next biggest, and then it's basically just a network, right? And it goes to the next hub until it hits the server. If it's Netflix or something, they'll have servers in your city that it distributes to. But AT&T basically has these big city centers that connects to the internet, these nodes, and those are run and operated by the NSA and a few other government agencies to be able to analyze, store, do whatever they want with all of that traffic.
So could that kind of be the inspiration by which somebody within that area would be like, yeah, like screw the government, and like go off and like park a camper someplace and have an announcement it's going to blow up in like a minute and 30 seconds or whatever it was? Or was that released?
I honestly think that was related to that, where he was like, but that wasn't the same thing. It was a different like type of internet node that person blew up in Tennessee. But it didn't blow it up. It just knocked out part of the grid that fed into it. It didn't actually blow up the node. I do think that was just a coincidence that they happened to be nearby, because they were nearby some other places. But yeah, the the actual AT&T nodes that they were talking about didn't get affected. It just had a power outage. But if you don't know anything about government buildings at all, even the most insignificant building, especially on these type of installations, come with battery backups and generators. Nothing goes out, like nothing gets turned off. So they didn't actually blow up anything. Yeah. Like even on the lowest like military bases, you're gonna have backup power redundancy.
Lamau. Mike Gohagen says, "But who invented the internet first in the first place?" Mm-hmm.
Colleges, literally a bunch of colleges getting paid by DARPA. Yeah, well, Al Gore was in college at the time, and he was the genius that invented it. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
It was Al Gore that invented it in college, getting funding by the government.
Kim Jong-un invented the hamburger. We all believe it. It's fine.
Yep. Yep.
Joe Biden is a potato.
Yeah, even so with him, how did they backup power him? Like, do they get like lemon water with salt or something, and they just like stick it into the two ends or whatever? How do they? What is it, like the potato clock thing, right? Like, is that how they do that? They like stick it in both sides of his head, and they just kind of like keep the power going with him because they got a like a power outage.
That's classified.
That's classified, of course.
Ask the glowy; he'll tell you.
I can't speak to that.
Is that why
I have full respect and support and allegiance to all U.S. government leadership. Just in case they're watching.
All hail the New World Order. What? Who?
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything. Get out of here. Anyway. People yelling over my
You know what we haven't heard about in a while? Like, they just stopped reporting on it. What happened to all the riots in the Northern Europe, like in Netherlands and in those places, Poland and whatnot? They just disappeared, huh?
I think they're still ongoing.
I would almost think that they're ongoing, but yeah, just not being broadcast because, that's the opposite of what we want people to do.
They got people in Britain, Canada, US, other countries in Europe. They get all these different people around these places, and they follow stories like that everywhere. Yeah. So let me look at.
But it never shows up in your Google News feed, does it?
Oh no, God no.
Google News feed. The hell.
Sorry, did I say riots? I meant civil discomfort.
Disobedience. Right?
Yeah. Arguing over the price of gasoline because of Putin. That's what it was. Which on that too, have you seen the updates with the Ukrainian war right now? Or sorry, special military operation. It's not a war, technically.
Oh, hey, before we go to that, Denmark says it ends kufi jabs for people under the age of 50, It's
based peaceful protests. Yeah.
Nice.
A little bit of news there. I forgot to mention that actually. That happened a couple days ago. So anyway, go back to your little topic there.
I totally forgot what I was talking about.
Go back to your little topic.
I went to grab
It's
a pretzel, and it just like slipped my brain. These things are delicious, by the way. Seasoned pretzel twist things. It's like
Snyder's.
Delicious.
Snyder's is the best.
No, these are Signature Select.
Oh,
Safeway brand.
You get the
High quality stuff.
When you work for the government, you get this special stuff.
You get that Safeway brand.
He looks like he's super happy eating that, doesn't he?
They're extremely addictive. Elephant's correct. No, I think I was talking about Putin. I forget. But yeah, it was basically no. If I want to eat a snack, I'd eat you. Just kidding.
Well, hey, you know what? The World Economic
Watch out
Forum
what
has
you all
told us
talking
all
about. Who you
that
talking about?
That our new diets in the future should be partially cannibalism. I think it was like a little over a quarter of your diet should be human meat. So
who said that?
The World Economic Forum. They have a pie chart out where in the future.
Oh, is it not bugs anymore, or is it like 3/4 bugs,
it's
1/4?
Partially bugs. Yes, it's partially bugs. You'll like 50% of the time
Upcycling
you'll be fasting,
humans.
and then the other 50% of the time it's split up into bugs and other forms of like larva protein or something like that. I think it was
Might
kinda
actually be
something
able
there.
to still
And then
find
there was
that.
then there was lab grown meat and then human meat.
I bet they'd have like rice in there too, probably. I can see that.
Oh no, they said plants. They said plants and everything like that will be done through supplementation. You won't be eating plant foods. You'll be supplementing those in
Interesting.
capsules. So
I will say I have eaten grubs and like insects and whatnot. They're not terrible as long as you season them properly. You put salt and like some garlic seasoning on basically anything, you'd be surprised what you can get out of it. Just saying. And then the little legs, especially if you toast it. You toast it and like the body, you get the body crispy. That means the legs are like extra crispy and they're really thin, so it's like crackly. It's like,
Here, I'll share this with you. It's kind of interesting. There you go.
There we go. Oh yeah, and then the seed oils is going to be where your fats come from, because seed oils are specifically very toxic, and a lot of them are even like seed oils that are like done organically, like it's still not all that healthy for you. So like all the bad oils that you could possibly get, it's like, okay, that's what you're going to eat, right? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, there it is. Okay, it's not 50% of the time intermittent fasting. It's almost 50% of the time.
Oh,
alternative protein.
What you want to bet that the people running that the World Economic Forum in the break room after they sign the paperwork deciding what you're going to eat, they're going to go back to their bagel buffet with like the entire spread.
They're going to go out and be like, clash just to kills the fat on the cow. Oh, it kills the fat cow. You go back and have it. They like have a whole butchery in the background, and they like, you know, do all this stuff like fresh cut meat, like right there. And like, there you go.
I can see it. Which I wouldn't blame them for. I'm like, hey, more power to them. Just don't stop the rest of us from having the same thing.
But the point of the graph was the alternative proteins, where it says a third of the protein will come from soy-based proteins, lab-grown meat, and upcycled citizens.
You know what sign language for soy is? I'm impressed.
But yes, upcycled citizens is what is part of your meat consumption. Soylent Green is people, ladies and gentlemen, and that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, I mean, the bugs gotta eat something. We have like what, 10 billion people? Just saying, it's a lot of bug food. A lot of bug food. But yeah, like you mentioned, somebody mentioned in the chat too.
He did tell us that he worked for a company
that
he couldn't tell us which company he worked for.
It's not technically a company. It's technically not a company. A company is the government. I said a company, an organization, but yeah.
Oh, an organization.
And it's not like I've said it before. It's not advertising, especially when I'm talking about these topics, because they don't like to be associated with these topics. So they are not being associated with these topics.
As they never will.
They never will. Well, I mean, eventually they will be, but not right now. Not by me.
Somebody else should do that? Oh, okay.
Not while they pay my paycheck.
Okay.
Well, Sparkles, the idea of an upcycled citizen is, you know, a useless person that they just, you know, kind of off, and then they upcycle you. So it's not like, oh, well, I'm going to live my life through. Like, no, they don't really have a plan for you to live your life all the way through. Like they pretty well would like to, you know, as Bill Gates would like to say, reduce the population.
You know the term useless eater that the communists like to use? Useless eater.
They use it all the time.
So the useless eater becomes the useful eaten. It's great. Perfect cycle.
God, where am I? You all know a Harari clips here. Holy shit. Have you ever watched these things, Printergod? Like these people sit around and like talk about this crap. Like this you've all know a Harari guy who wrote this book, Homo Deus. Like humans will be gods. He hangs out with all of these world leader people, and he talks about how you know, useless eaters all the time. He talks about, like, you know, there will be no use for all of these people. There will be no use for anyone. We will have AI robot things that will just do everything, and you are going to have absolutely no use. The planet cannot sustain you. All of those things all together. And he's like, yeah, I mean, we don't need all of these people. We don't need all of these people across the world. We don't need them. You know?
That's the argument that people like are shaming Elon Musk for making, is that we have an underpopulation problem. And they're like, no, we have an overpopulation problem. And the problem is both of them are right. Right now, at the current rate, we definitely do have an overpopulation problem eventually with our food supply. Of course, our technology catches up. We can hydroponics and whatnot. We can fill that gap. The problem right now is we have a civilization future underpopulation problem. That's what China and Japan are facing right now. China is about to crash big time. Like, people have no clue how
Do you
bad
think it had something to
China's
do with
gonna
their
crash.
one-child policy that they had for forever?
It had everything to do with that. And the thing that they did was they reduced the quality and the incentive for innovation. There is zero actual incentive for the populace to innovate, because you don't profit, because the government will take it or control you or get involved in your life in ways that you don't want. So you stay out of the limelight and you just go work in a factory, shut up and color. In Japan, it was different because of some other reasons, but the same thing happened where population grew. Now they have an elderly population that's great. They sold, what was the statistic that they mentioned? They sell more adult diapers than baby diapers in Japan. And in China is well on its way to that. India, I believe, just overtook China as the biggest country in the world, like with 1.3.1 billion or something like that. People, barely, it's like just past it. And but India is about to have the boom. Like, India will be the dominant superpower as far as like population is concerned alone, and probably economically within the next like 50 to 100 years, in my opinion, just because they are coming up on technology so rapidly and overtaking everyone else in population so rapidly. They're not slowing down. They never had this one-child policy BS. Whereas China is trying to tamp down and control the innovation. India is making alliances with the West, innovating. It's not perfect. Their government's kind of crappy too, especially during COVID. But compared to everyone else in the region, they're actually surprisingly good. So, just saying, India is the one to watch. China's gonna fall off the wayside. Honestly, if Russia and Ukraine taught us anything, is that we put way too much stock in these communist third world countries to actually have quality product and be able to back up what they say. They're really good at killing their own people, but they're not that great at doing it to anybody else. So, just saying. Like Russia, for example, right? Everyone's like, Russia's a superpower. When has modern Russia ever, outside of its own like internal like little skirmishes with like Georgia, which was part of Russia at the time when it was doing that, right? But outside of that, when has Russia ever shown that it's actually a military superpower? Like, it hasn't. And the one time they have the chance to, right next door with Ukraine, they get their asses kicked by the West funding Ukraine and Ukraine doing all of the fighting. So, just saying. Russia was extremely overrated. It was like very, very paper tiger. And especially compared to the US, we're giving Ukraine our leftovers and they're kicking Russia's butt. Imagine if we were going straight head to head with them. They have no chance whatsoever. And China, to be honest, is very similar. North Korea is not even in the conversation. They would get obliterated. But anyway. But yeah, India, that's the one to watch. They have the money, the population, and the backing, and the actual technical. I mean, they got all the tech support over there anyway, right? So they got all the technical know-how too. So India is the one to watch.
Supposedly. I mean, if you haven't been paying attention to the India/China border,
my money's on India.
That's what I'm saying. You pay attention to what's going on, and you actually see side of that, and you can see that China has been putting a lot of money into like multiple facets of things, whereas India had put in this wall of force that says try it.
Basically, yeah, it's like Pakistan and India. We pretend that they're equals because they have this little border skirmish. It's not even close. Like Pakistan, I think they had some skirmish or something recently, and they realized how ancient and inefficient their military actually was with the hardware that they have compared to India, because they had been aligning themselves with Russia, and we all know, again, back to Russia, like how crappy their stuff is. So the countries that aligned themselves with that got Russia's secondhand stuff. So if Russia's stuff is crap, Russia's secondhand stuff is actually dog crap. And that versus America supplying and Britain and other countries supplying India with their secondhand stuff, it wasn't even close. And now India has the money to just squash them. And they also have the population and the will to stop China. China doesn't have the will to fight India. China really doesn't. They have too much other stuff going on to actually bother putting a full effort there. So India's 100% going to stop them.
So before we move on to this piece that Shirts has up here, I want to ask a question of Shirts real quick. Is there a meaning behind the 24 stars that are encircling your thing?
I actually didn't count how many there were.
Just threw on a bunch. He's like, turns out it's some random obscure like NAZY propaganda.
Mathematically fit, he said. Okay, that's awesome.
Copied and pasted.
Okay, I was just curious.
Some
I was
obscure
hoping that
Viking
there's going to
number.
be some fun, interesting numeric number of sorts for you.
I should do that. Because everything else has a meaning. So,
One issue that really grabbed me as urgent were issues related to population.
In 1998, Dr. Zabin became the founding director of the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population Control.
We see a lot of things that are going very well, things like reducing childhood death. And first, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9.
too much?
No, you're fine.
Oh, well,
Ish
You know
said
how you-
something.
it's a little bit of Bill Gates.
When people tag me, I have the tendency to read this stuff a little bit more often. And when I looked at that, I see that she says, "Tell me to shut up. Then I know too much. I never tell anybody to shut up. I think everybody should have a chance to speak. And knowing too much, does anybody really know too much?"
He's being sarcastic.
Just
Like,
saying.
you know too much. They're gonna come for you.
I
Hey,
play this
just on-
one. I play this clip every day.
It's just a little bit of, a little bit of Bill Gates.
Now, if we do a really great job
This is the
on
one that I play every day
vaccines,
at the
healthcare,
beginning of the show.
reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. Here we can see a chart that looks at the total world population over the last several hundred years. And at first glance, this is a bit scary. We go from less than 1 billion in 1800, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.4 billion where we are today is happening even faster. So Melinda and I wondered whether providing new
Real quick,
medicines,
the problem with
and keeping
this-
children alive, would that create more of a population problem?
So the problem with this, and everybody makes this mistake when they're looking at these population numbers, and there's a few professors out there that have their TED Talks and what that debunk this entire theory. But as cultures get more advanced, which they are exponentially now becoming more advanced and getting higher, like, the reason people had 1 million kids was because they needed 1 million kids to keep themselves alive because half their kids were going to die. Problem with reducing child mortality ironically reduces the amount of children that people end up having because they actually still have to care for the kids. So they stop having as many kids. And then as the country progresses, they get access to birth control and other methods. So now the US has like a 1 point something, it's a very, very low replacement rate versus in other countries like China have almost a negative replacement rate. Japan has a negative replacement rate. The more industrialized the country gets, the more negative replacement rate. So eventually those two curves of industrialization and replacement rates intersect and they level out. And there's formulas and graphs that people have done with this that show that this is actually all BS. Like the world isn't going to end up over. I think the stagnation number is like 10.5 billion or something like that. We're right now we're at 7.5, but it's once Africa and South America, those are the main, and Southeast Asia, get to industrialized levels, they're going to stop replacing at the rates that they're replacing of 2 and 3 and slow down. We already saw this in the Middle East. We already saw this in Europe and in the US. It's like a very consistent principle that goes before. But
well, and like, how come Mr. Bill Gates, he wants to give all these people, some good old nice health care and reproductive health services. Why is it that after he gives them all of these good, all these lovely things, I about said the word that you're not supposed to say on YouTube. So after all those things, why does the population kind of, probably kind of drop off a little bit, Bill Gates loves to see the population get reduced. It's kind of a weird obsession.
And what the developing world does not need is more children.
And I think that was the biggest aha to Bill and me when we got into this work, is we asked ourselves, of course, the same hard-nosed question you'd ask, which is, if you get into this work and you start to save these children, will women just keep overpopulating the world? And thank goodness the converse is absolutely true.
This is a very important question to get right, because it was absolutely key for me. When our foundation first started up, it was focused on reproductive health. That was the main thing we did, because I thought, population growth in poor countries is the biggest problem they face. You've got to help mothers who want to limit family size have the tools and education to do that. And that's the only thing that really counts. Spending $1 million on that last 3 months of life for that patient, would it be better not to lay off those 10 teachers and to make that trade-off in medical costs?
I think you're kind of just entered into something that we did not know that's where we're going to go.
Well, let's look at each one of these
I see
how we can get this down to zero.
Vicky. Just saying.
Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look.
But did you?
Because half the audience knew exactly what they were laughing at, because they're like, oh well, if all the other numbers coincide along with the first number, then we all know which number needs to go to zero.
Issues as an intellectual.
Ridiculous.
When I was growing up, my parents were always involved in various volunteer things. My dad was head of Planned Parenthood, and it was very controversial to be involved with.
It's like AmericaShirts came in here to talk shit about the government or something.
Well, we all really love Bill Gates as a very good philanthropist, because that's what
you practiced this a lot, haven't you?
Well, you do so many different things to try to, control the population. You really get
basically what it's coming down to is he knows that he's Bill Gates. He just portrays himself as
he's just an alter ego of Bill Gates.
We see a lot of good things like producing childhood death and
And Memento, I think he said his dad worked for Planned Parenthood and wasn't the head of it. I think he just worked for it.
Oh no, he was the head of Planned Parenthood.
He was the head of Planned Parenthood?
He was the head of Planned Parenthood.
What I thought was funny what he said is what the developing doesn't need is more children. So let's go kill the children of the underdeveloping countries.
Literally.
That doesn't really work that way, bud. Because the developing world isn't producing more children. That's why the population is stagnating in the developing world. It's actually not even hitting replacement rate. The only reason we're replacing is because we're bringing in immigrants, which is fine. I'm not against that. But stop pretending that us having kids is a problem. No.
And if you're going to make people healthy, wouldn't they be more, shall we say, fertile? Would they be more capable
that's part of that. That's part of that soy thing, right? Is makes you less fertile. So the diet that they proposed, you ain't gonna have very many kids on that diet.
Precisely. Yeah. Well, with my
I just seem to have an issue.
Monsanto and all those good things that you're supposed to eat, all that lovely soybean oils and all those things that spray things down with glyphosate and all. That really helps to reduce the population even more. More developed countries that
Hey, he's back.
Yeah, sorry.
Got tired of staring at myself. It was weird.
Hey, when you're the only one that's around and there's a 3-year-old that needs help falling asleep, you help him fall asleep.
Just give him drugs. Go to the doctor. I'm sure they'll give you something. Just knock him out.
Oh, he
That's how
just
that works
needed
today.
a little bit of time. That's all he needed.
Trust us.
Needed a
TM
little
trademarked.
time. I'm not doing it. I
Feeling like a true man of the government. I just shoved your damn kid full of drugs. The hell with that.
Hey, at this point,
He's like, look at me. It works. I eat the bugs.
And me up at midnight. Works great.
Oh, by the way.
See these pretzels that I was talking about? When you look at it, it says may contain cockroaches.
I mean, literally. Like, did we all remember the things that they were doing in Canada to some of these products and some of the products in the United
Holy
States?
crap. All right, let me read.
Adding stuff to it. Like, you can
Let me read the ingredients off on these pretzels. Signature Select, store brand from Safeway. Brought to you by absolutely no one.
If I told the truth, I'm going to be upset.
It says enriched wheat flour, niacin, reduced iron, thiamine, I can't even pronounce these.
Trash.
Riboflavin, folic acid, salt,
smashed
vegetable oil.
together.
Oh, salt is ingredient number 2. Like all of that is part of the enriched flour, right? Salt's ingredient number 2. Vegetable oil contain one or more of the following: canola, corn, soybean, artificial butter, flavor, cornstarch, yeast, maltodextrin, buttermilk powder, yeast extract, salt, garlic powder, onion powder, dehydrated
He
parsley.
says, and I live on this stuff.
Monosodium glutamate. Oh, that has MSG in here. Nice.
That's a lot of crap.
I like how they have an ingredient called spice.
Get to the
they don't
line where
describe
it
what the
says
spice is.
cockroaches.
Lactic citric acid, mustard, not more than 2% of silicon dioxide, added to prevent
Why are you
caking.
reading me these? It just proof that
But
there
it's
isn't
distributed
bugs in it?
by. Yeah, there's no bugs, but it's distributed by Better Living Brands. Come on, you can't get a more wholesome name than that. It cares.
I don't know. Everything that you're reading
Signature
off
Select.
is sounding like pure death to me.
Dude, just got
Home
me.
style seasoned ranch.
Home style, of course. Right. Feel better about eating yourself into diabetes and death.
130 calories for 130 calories for 17 pieces for 17 individual pretzels. Not bad.
Oh.
360 milligrams of sodium for 17 pretzels, though. It's a lot. It's a lot of sodium. And spice unspecified as bugs is Alex is 100%. Spicy bugs. Space bugs. That's why the Space Force was created, to harvest space bugs for the spice. Spice must flow. Oh yeah, so for a while,
specified equals bugs. I agree.
the
Koolfrogg, most of us do.
If you go to Taco Bell, the meat that they use in their tacos.
I don't ever go to Taco Bell.
The name of the meat, like the product name. I used to work for a company that serviced some of the IT in Taco Bell and McDonald's. Where I did like the nationwide support if their credit card systems went down, back of house systems went down, that kind of thing. And we would see like their back of house roster of their menu of what they purchased and whatnot. And for their beef, like everything seemed normal. The one thing that caught me off guard was it was beef quick prep, beef hybrid quick prep chunky. That was the name of their ground beef. Beef hybrid quick prep chunky.
Crappy junk.
I was hoping somebody was going to get that Susie. The spice
spun around and shoved in a bag, frozen.
Like, what is beef hybrid? Like, what are you hybridizing with that beef?
That sounds disgusting.
Just, that's why I always get the chicken tacos. I was not very much better, but still.
Oh my God, I don't even want to know.
Not real meat.
Disgusting. No,
I
little
just had
galaxy. I agree.
hamburgers
Pink
today
slime.
that I made.
To be fair, pink slime is just the rest of the bits mashed together with a little bit of citric acid. So it's not really. That is what it is. It's basically the nose.
That's why you don't eat at the fast food
the
restaurant.
tail. Okay.
None of them.
The donkeys, the horses, brought the cart of the cow.
Just don't do it.
One good one,
unless you know for sure that it's a good place and they're not actually, serving you trash off the floor. Don't do it.
I mean, it's all full of soybean oil. It's all cooked in the vegetable oil, which is like half, if not all, like soybean oil at this point. I mean, it's made of soy lectins, soy proteins. It's got again, the monosodium glutamate stuff in it. It's got the
monosodium glutamate is actually not
all
bad.
It's all
monosodium glutamate gets a bad rap for some reason. They started smearing it really bad for a while, but turned out that a lot of their claims was fake. And it's actually not
Susie
bad.
says, "Come to my neck of the woods. We got real meat here."
And it's all got toxins.
She going
in it.
to
I
a
mean,
Taco Bell? I doubt it.
It's all it's all terrible. Don't eat it.
To be fair, I still eat Taco Bell every once a week probably. It's lit.
Don't eat it.
It's delicious. It's great.
Disgusting.
I can just imagine the dairy farms that the cows that get the sour cream from, or the cheese that go to Taco Bell because they have. It's so cheap.
No matter what it.
Have you ever had the taco bowl?
It's so cheap it made me feel like shit.
It's like $5 on Wednesdays, I think, for the taco bowl. It's basically just like a bowl, like a Chipotle bowl from Taco Bell, though. It's like all the ingredients in the bowl. Actually delicious. It's like for the price, you can't really beat it. And then for dessert, I'd go to McDonald's and have a nice little cheeseburger. But
I mean, if you're up in the Midwest, you go to Taco John's.
Taco John's and Culver's. Culver's is lit. Culver's is actually really good. I used to work at Culver's. Yeah.
It was one of the places that I went to on a regular basis when I was, younger. And
oh, you know what we should do?
As much.
This will get the audience involved. We should do a fast food tier list.
A fast food tier list?
Here, I'll send you the link.
I can give you. I can already give you my answer. All garbage.
Trash all the way around. I mean, if you're gonna do a tier list, you might as well just do the 7 big companies tier list. Who owns what? And you'd be surprised.
All right, so this one doesn't have everything on it, but it has a lot of
other things that are owned by other.
Oh,
he bumped the wrong button.
Whoops.
He's like, "Where did I go?"
He's probably pulling all this stuff up.
He's like, "Oh, here I am."
Boss called me. He's like, "What are you doing?" Just kidding. No, I clicked next to a private chat. I had to log in.
Talking with these people about Bill Gates.
There we go.
I'm not doing anything.
You're supposed to love your globalist overlords. We have till 2030.
Okay, let's see here. Share.
Chick-fil-A is overrated as heck. Please don't come at me with Chick-fil-A.
Rank food only. No drinks or sweets.
Chick-fil-A is trash.
I mean, I enjoy Chick-fil-A more than the others. I have enjoyed past tense.
I go to Arby's every day of the week.
Factory. Average.
So, no, S is supreme.
Below average crap.
S is godlike. Yeah.
Fuck that shit, and I don't care.
Yeah. Basically.
They all belong right here.
Oh, come on. This man's nah.
Every single one of them.
Nah.
There isn't even a good restaurant on here.
You're putting Jersey Mike subs down there.
Dirt.
Raising Cane's chicken. Like, come on, Raising Cane's
Pizza
chicken.
Hut's fun, but it's not good for you like the rest of them.
I'd say Papa John's is better than Pizza Hut, personally. I just like the flavor better. That's probably a lot of people don't agree with that one. But Firehouse Subs, like, oh, come on. Have you ever had a Firehouse
Burger
sub?
King bought Tim Hortons.
Some of these aren't really like fast food restaurants. Like
I
Pizza
mean,
Hut's not like a fast food thing; it's a restaurant.
So I mean, when it comes down to it,
Firehouse Subs,
you look at certain ones. You put, KFC, and Pizza Hut and Taco Bell.
Zaxby's is supreme. Zaxby's is like better than every other chicken restaurant
That's
ever,
Yum Foods
in my
right
opinion.
there. Yum Food owns all three of those. All their product is interchangeable. That's why when you go to a Pizza Hut, there's things like chicken and different styles of things that are available. At the Kentucky Fried Chicken, when you go and you look at their, it's really so similar, close, because they're all owned by the same. All three of those.
Yeah, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, A&W, KFC. They all share the same back of house systems. I've worked on them. They share the same menus, same register systems, same technicians, everything. McDonald's is separate completely, but
McDonald's
those three.
is its own. We'll keep them way down there too.
Yeah, McDonald's can low. I don't really care about them.
I put Arby's way at the bottom of the list.
Subway's foot-long tuna is actually 11 feet long, and it's not tuna.
I don't trust Burger King. I don't care anybody. I don't care what anybody says about Burger King.
Burger King.
Once they built and they assembled their first whatever unburger that they had, it was supposed to be the plant burger.
Bill Gates burger.
The Beyond Burger.
Yes.
Impossible.
But whatever was that what it was? It was the unburger. Either way,
impossible.
When they not tuna, yeah. The unburger when they brought that crap out, you just seriously you're like nah. I'm never eating any of your food ever again because you're never going to tell me the truth if I'm actually eating beef or the cheaper un.
Also, CC's Pizza deserves to be an S tier. I'm just saying, CC's is just like one of those magical places that just deserves
magical
supreme. Like that's some
Caesars.
No, CC's Pizza next to Chipotle. Chipotle can go. Yeah, CC's.
This one you says this one should be up web.
It's the trashiest food, but it's predictably trashy and it's unashamedly trashy, right? So it's like we are trashy, we're cheap, we can feed an entire family for $5. It's like it's like Little Caesars in that sense, right? Right. It's unashamed about how trashy it is, and it embraces it, and it's delicious. It's amazing. So I love it. You can get pasta.
Exactly. I'm with Barbara on that. That fake meat is totally full of crap. So for one chicken to taste close to KFC, use the packet Italian dressing and a steak seasoning. You'll be close. Yeah, I worked at one, so. That was the last fast food that I actually worked was at a KFC, and I had issues with some of the standards. You don't throw anything away, regardless of what it smells like. You know it's rotten. They catch you throwing it. They actually yell at you. Say, just cook the chicken. You'd be like, not serving customers shit. You're like, yeah, well, somebody gets sick every once in a while. It's like, nah, I'm done. I fed him with chicken breast the one day. I was like, here's your lunch. And he's like, what? I'm like, that's your lunch, man. He's like, I ain't eating that. I'm like, why? Chicken? That's all it is. It's just chicken. Come on, buck. Eat up. And he wouldn't do it. I threw my hat at him, so I'm done.
Yikes. No, yeah, KFC is.
Don't
think the last. I haven't eaten there in forever because last couple times I went there, like I went in and it's just everybody that's serving. I could smell their BO from across the counter. I'm like, ew.
So
no,
KFC.
Yeah,
really
they can go. They can go.
There.
Okay, so Arby's doesn't deserve, and
the thing with
Arby's is actually like a decent restaurant.
It's a gut because it's pretty much what it is. It's trash.
I will die on a hill for Arby's. Everyone hates on Arby's, but Arby's is so good. It is so delicious. They have that slice.
If I have to put my top choice, I'm going to put the Subway at the top because it's kind of trashy. You can get dry bread, but you can usually fill yourself up and not feel so gross after you're done. I don't know, personally.
Also, Waffle House. All right, let me rant on Waffle House for a second. There are certain businesses in America, not just food restaurants, but businesses in general, that deserve the title of wholesome businesses of America. I call them my HBAs, right? And Waffle House is number one on that list. Waffle House is open when you need it. It's never great. It's never bad. It's just Waffle House. You know exactly what to expect. You know, if you go in there, you'll probably find a tooth on the floor mixed in with the grease. You know, your cook will probably not even actually work at Waffle House. He'll probably just be the random guy who shows up every morning. You know that you very likely are going to get shot by a random naked dude running around in a trench coat. But Waffle House is so predictably good because it's always open at every time of day, no matter where you are. They have a team of paratroopers. I'm not even kidding. They have a team of paratroopers ready to jump in and open up their stores in the event of catastrophic emergencies to be able to feed the population. The first thing that opened up after Hurricane Michael in Florida was Waffle House. I respect Waffle House. I love Waffle House. Just Waffle House is just...
We got to figure out how to pull the audience here real quick. We're going to ask the audience. There's 27 people still with us, and where they would actually put McDonald's on this list. It doesn't allow me to actually choose all of them. So maybe I can just ask y'all, you know, put an S if you really put them as the best. Put an A, a B, a C, or a D. Or an F, where you actually would actually put them. Throw some letters at us, and let's see. We'll just kind of do some quick guesstimation on where we actually get for these letters. It says It says IDK, so I'm guessing it's the ones that you just don't know. So that's why we're putting. I put them.
You
all
never
up
leave
in
McDonald's
one notch.
happy. Every time you go to McDonald's, right?
Ever.
You get a craving for
AmericaShirts,
it. Like,
where
I don't
would you
know
put
about
a
you.
McDonald's? You leave it right there in the F pile.
No. Oh, F? Oh, I don't know. Like, what the hell is below an F? Like, there should be like a stage.
Well,
No, IDK is I don't know.
below.
So that means you've never been to that restaurant.
Right.
Oh, well then, okay, keep it in
Yeah,
the F.
F is the bottom.
As in F that. Like, I don't. No, thank you.
Right. Like, fuck that shit. I'm not eating it.
I will say Chipotle is hella overrated. Chipotle is it's basically just some hipster
Why did I
BS from
put
California.
Burger King up in the D spot? Was there a reason I put them above one? Should we
You
throw?
were separating things into companies before.
Oh, so
Hey,
Burger King's
Bojangles,
back down
but
below.
Bojangles also deserves some respect. I don't know what you got against Bojangles.
Memento
but
more. You see, look at all
they
these
got
guys.
some biscuits.
Tish, Low, Memento, all Fs. Ish F. Like
No, Trucker John, I know. Arby's smoked brisket.
I love
Like,
Arby's.
Arby's.
smoked brisket
Have you tried Arby's
sandwich.
sliders? Arby's has like some fried chicken sliders now. Like Arby's is surprisingly decent. People give it a bad rap. It's just like the common thing to crap on, but Arby's is surprisingly good.
So,
Good shot,
how about
trust
this place right here? Have you ever checked out Papa John's before?
me. Garlic sauce carries
there
it
was
another
a Papa
level.
John's in my hometown, whatever, for a long time. And something happened, and they ended up losing their license or whatever, and they took off. And nobody else tried to bring it back, because they're all franchise things or whatever. So I thought it was always good back in the day, but I tried a couple different ones, and it's really dependent on how much they actually care about their customers and what you're getting from a Papa John's. So just to play along with the game, I'd give them a C. They used to be pretty good. I don't know if they're any good anymore.
C for convenient, but not excellent.
Yeah, no,
It's
right.
just like
It's still
average.
trash.
So the same. I would put Panda Express probably next to Papa John's, just because it's like it's not great. It's never good, but it's just there. You know what I mean? It's mediocre.
I like the sauces they sell in the store. Like the sauce containers.
Yeah.
They actually have some pretty good ingredients.
So you said put Panda Express next to the Papa John's. Convenient,
say
but
so.
still trash.
Yeah.
That's really dependent on you where you actually live and what it's like they're in bigger cities.
true.
There was one in the college, in my hometown or whatever. It was like in the college their cafeteria. So it was like the one half was the school's cafeteria, and then there's a Panda Express over in the corner. For whatever reason, so it's like
They sneak into random places. They're in all the airports. Like they're really they're just convenient.
Right.
They're always around.
Right. If you knew where to look, you could actually find a Panda Express, here or there. If it
You
was
go
like,
there,
you know.
you know for a fact that their beef and broccoli is just going to be the Panda Express beef and broccoli. There's no fuss. It's just good. It's just mediocre, average, okay. But yeah.
So let's see here.
I think Popeyes deserves a nice B. In my
Where's
opinion, that's just
Popeyes?
it's over on the right hand side there.
This thing.
I think Popeyes deserves a
You
B.
know, I've never actually eaten at one, so I can't.
See if the chat disagrees, but yeah, I think Popeyes is just like head and shoulders above KFC, first of all. But their sides are just so much better. Their red beans and rice, their biscuits are really amazing. And you can get trashy.
AmericaShirts, what would you give the highest rank to any of these restaurants?
What's the highest ranked I would give to any of them? Like, are you asking what's on the list?
If you had to stop somewhere and you had a sign right in front of you and it gave you these options, which one would you choose? What is your top pick?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, your kitchen table isn't there.
I know, right?
I'd go with Zaxby's personally. Out of everything, I'd go with Zaxby's because you get wings, you get chicken sandwiches, you get chicken tenders.
We'll put
you
in
get
the egg category.
That's fair.
What
Like you
do
get
say?
everything you need.
If you, I mean, you put
Panera is
the
actually really
CC's
good
up.
too.
I mean, I put the Subway up there because that's pretty much where it would be. Out of all these options, I seriously would.
I think a lot of people are saying Popeyes should go up one.
Popeye should go up one.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as far as that goes, I'd put
Five Guys.
Five
100% agree. Five Guys is probably one of the best fast food burger chains.
I have tried several different locations. They all have their own individual burger that they make in their specialty menu compared to any other store. So they all have a different sandwich that you can't get at the other stores. It's very interesting.
But the flavor of the burger and the fries that you get with like Five Guys, you go there and you get a medium fry and they fill up the whole bag with the medium fry, and it's just like they love me.
I don't know
love them.
what the S actually means.
Supreme. That's like above A tier. It's like godlike, perfection. Like
Well,
no
see,
flaws.
I mean,
Yeah, you can move it down. I was memeing.
We'll drop these
CC's.
ones down in here.
You can
These
probably
yours.
drop CC's down to like a C for convenience. I was just memeing with it, but yeah.
Oh.
But when you're a kid, CC's is like the
Let's
best
do
place
that.
ever. It's like a buffet.
I mean,
of
but
pizza.
some of these, like I said, some of these aren't even fast food. They're just restaurants. I mean, they have
They
a
kind of are.
drive-through, but most of them, well, not most of them. It's like, you know, several of them are like originally intended to be like a walk-in restaurant.
I will
So
say,
a little bit different.
Qdoba down next to Panera Bread. Like, they have three Mexican like Chipotle style restaurants on here. There's Qdoba, there's Moe's, and there's Chipotle. And in that order, I would put Qdoba, then Moe's, and then Chipotle. But it's just, I think Chipotle is really
Panera
overrated.
fails the health inspection consistently. I was
Wait, who
just
says
like,
that?
I'm like, I wasn't paying attention. Divinity's around? Is she? The unburgers are okay. I miss chat.
Also, Steak and Shake is trash.
Where you make
Every
it at
single
home.
time I've had
That's
Steak
the
and
last
Shake.
one I believe I read. Some of these are good, some areas, but not others. Panda Express, Knoxville is good. Madison, nope. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. Is it's like you're like I've had bad times with Domino's. I worked at a Hardee's as a young kid.
Hardee's is overrated. Carl's Jr.
It's
Both
Carl's
of
Jr. Right? Is
Yeah.
basically what it is, right? If you-
Also,
yeah,
I've seen people mention this in chat too, but in my opinion, Chick-fil-A is hot garbage compared to like most other. I would take Popeyes over Chick-fil-A personally any day of the week. Chick-fil-A is just really overhyped. Same with In-N-Out. Whataburger is good, but In-N-Out is trash.
There
Like,
was
their
a
fries are actual
Whataburger.
garbage.
Isn't that the Whataburger? Isn't that what they put in the
No, Whataburger is the Texas one. That's the Texas burger place.
You're right.
They're actually really good. They're 24/7. They have really good food. I would put them in a solid like A or B. They're right up there with Five Guys or like up there in my opinion.
Really, you think they're as good as?
See what chat thinks about. They're simping for California's In-N-Out Burger. Yeah.
Mr. Malloy, of course, he'd be for the In-N-Out Burger. That is his favorite. He says it over.
They have the worst fries. I would rather get Taco Bell fries than Whataburger fries or than In-N-Out Burger fries. Like they're the soggiest, absolute trash. And then their thing is like, hey, you need to get the secret menu, and the secret menu is just literally dousing their fries in some gross sauce. It's like, nah.
Okay, the ones that I have really enjoyed in the past have been Pizza Hut, Firehouse, Five Guys.
Firehouse is really good. Firehouse is solid. It's like way better than Subway.
I've never tried a Firehouse. I don't know what that is.
It's fresh Subway, and a lot of them. It's like think of Subway, but like quality, like really good. Like they don't skimp. Better
so
bread.
You almost give them the A for the subs.
So, yeah, I would. For subcategory, that would be A, 100%. Sonic's actually really good.
Subway just gets out there because they have the means to actually get out quick and easy.
Subway has the most franchises of any franchise store in the world, I believe.
It totally does. Dairy Queen's fire. You know, I love myself some Dairy Queen. I really do. When it comes down to it, it gets so hot, and you're like, Dairy Queen.
Well, and the thing with Dairy Queen too is like when you go there and you want an ice cream, like it's an ice cream. It's not like healthy for you. So like the stuff that they're giving to you isn't exactly healthy. So
And
like
I
you
don't
kind
care what anybody
of
says,
expect that, right?
Their chicken strips rock.
You get a chicken strip, and then you get one of their like the little not concrete. That's Culver's, but you get one of their milkshake things, the blizzards, yeah. And then you like dip the chicken strip in the blizzard. Oh, it's so good. So good. Same with Wendy's. You do the same thing. Actually, I think Wendy's is probably a B tier in my opinion, just because of the baked potatoes alone.
Well, I forgot about those. Yeah. I mean, again, I would rather not go to fast food, but you go to one.
Which
also,
I don't know what that is.
Which? That's just a random sandwich place. Yeah, I've never been there either, so I can't speak
there's
to it.
Bojangles and which are down at the bottom.
Bojangles is solid. Bojangles is very similar.
Give them a position, then we can try, ranking them a little bit.
Oh,
better.
okay.
What's up,
Somebody in chat said El Pollo Loco. El Pollo Loco. Es lo más delicioso. Oh my god. Pollo Loco is probably one of my top 3 fast food restaurants on the planet. It is insanely good.
You just drove a couple people nuts. Michael Malloy just shivered in his pants. He's like, oh, he just spoke Spanish.
Sí, ¿por qué no? Porque soy blanco que no puedo hablar
People
español.
like people that know how to speak Spanish. I have no clue what he just said, but
Nunca lo sabrás. Nunca lo sabrás. Okay, so in some parts of the country, it's a Pollo Loco. And other parts of the country, just like Carl's Jr., it's Pollo Tropical. They basically do the same thing. And I think they're owned by the same people, but it's basically the same menu. Basically, they have, I said basically way too many times in that sentence. They have chicken on a big grill thing, and they'll cook it right in front of you. Hispanic type food with like the big, massive fresh tortillas. They'll throw it in there right out. It's extremely cheap. Military discount, they give you like 30% off, which is insane. And it's just a wonderful place to eat. Their spices are amazing. It's for the price, you get a whole chicken for like, it's like $10 or something. It's ridiculously cheap, but it's delicious. Pollo Locos, increíble. Raisin Canes, solid.
Raisin Canes, you think they're solid?
They are solid. They're like a solid. I've never been disappointed at Raisin Canes. Like they probably have some of the best. It's all they do is chicken strips, but they do it perfectly every time.
Waffle House doesn't deserve to be anywhere.
Jersey Mike's.
I'd skip over every single one of these.
Jimmy John's is trash. I mean, if you like them, I guess. I don't like the flavor of their. I don't. They
like
put their
their
mayonnaise is
lettuce
weird.
content.
Their lettuce is weird. Their bread is just thick and dense in a weird way. It's just not a fan.
There's so much lettuce in their sandwiches every single time I go to any of them, and I was like, why in the world do they put so much lettuce in their sandwich?
And you bite in, it's always hard. Like their sandwiches are hard. They're never like fluffy. If that makes sense.
You heard it here, folks. Printergod likes them fluffy.
See,
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Hot
It's
garbage.
convenient. Buffalo Wild Wings is one of those places that's, you always enjoy your time there, right? Because you go with friends typically to watch a game or something. So I always have good memories about it. But the food is actually kind of trash. It's like not that great, because it's junk food. Shake Shack's good. Shake Shack.
I used to hit up a Shake Shack pretty much once or twice a week, whatever, when I was working out at the mall. So I mean, it really, it's when you like you pick out of you get options like these, out of 15 of them, and you're like, so which way would I want to feel today after I get done eating this? What's gonna give me energy? What's not gonna give me energy and is gonna give me gas? What's gonna make my breath stink? You really pay attention to a lot of things. And Shake Shack was usually one of the easier ones. You eat your burger, you eat a shake, get yourself a shake, whatever, get a thicker one, eat it, go back to work,
So
it's usually
somebody
one
said
of those.
IHOP is better than Taco Bell than Waffle House, but more expensive. No, and here's why: IHOP doesn't have an identity. No one gives a crap about IHOP. No one says, I really have a craving for IHOP. It's just IHOP. No one cares.
AmericaShirts, did you ever pick a place?
Character.
It's like
You
my
did.
absolute favorite. I don't think I have a real. I mean, if I had to pick, I probably.
You're
out of
starving.
these,
You need to eat.
I'd probably do
What do
Pizza Hut.
You do the Pizza Hut? We're going to,
Out of all of these, you'd pick Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Last meal on earth, they said, these are your options. You're like, all right, I'm going to get a cheese pizza.
I have more than cheese
this
pizza.
AmericaShirts says,
Hey,
put it right
that's your
there.
choice. That's your choice.
I got to figure out what this S is actually saying. What does it
That's
say?
supreme. So it's like top. Like of all of these, like that would be your number one, basically.
Oh my
Supreme.
Lord. So we're gonna put that up there. Which one did you prefer out of all these?
Mine would be
Whataburger?
or Zaxby's.
The Zaxby's.
Zaxby's.
The Zaxby's. And Shirts comes in with a Pizza Hut.
I've always, ever since I was a kid, I liked the whole thing of Pizza Hut, like the restaurant, the pizza.
To be fair,
the bar thing. Like, I always liked that.
Their casseroles, you get the Pizza Hut dishes with the like Alfredo and whatnot. Those are actually surprisingly good. Like feed a big family for cheap.
Yeah, and like you go to the bar and like you get like a pasta, you get like something else, like you get all the
He said-
different
He said Denny's over IHOP, 100%. Denny's over IHOP any day of the week. So I would say of the breakfast places, there's I'd say there's 5, right? So there's Waffle House, IHOP, Denny's, Cracker Barrel, and what's that Irish one? The green one. You know what I'm talking about? There's like one more that's all over the Midwest. Obviously,
Wait, what
it's
is
forgettable, so that's going to number 5. It would be my top would be Waffle House because of the character, then Cracker Barrel just because it's cool and it has other stuff too. It's really good. People are always friendly,
I guess.
And then under that it would be Denny's, then it would be IHOP, and then it would be that other place that I can't remember. Somebody's Bob
Waffle
Evans
House?
is really good too. No, the Waffle House is number 1, just because I'm biased.
You like Waffle House? I put him right here in the trash.
That's just disrespectful. That's just honestly Arby's and Waffle House, in my opinion, personal A tier. But that's because
he's like, move this.
That's just me though. It's your list. You can move them around as you see fit.
No, this
Not
is
IHOP. IHOP
this
is
is a
trash.
community. Oh, you said
Waffle House. Yeah. Yeah, Cracker Barrel. So Barbara thinks Cracker Barrel is best out of those. I can see that too, but
I've never
Yeah,
tried
well,
a
I didn't
Sonic.
see
You guys
Cracker
tried a
Barrel.
Sonic before?
oh yeah, how have you not had Sonic? The drive-in,
I have
roller skates,
no
like,
intent to
the
try
whole
it.
experience. They don't do roller skates anymore because of lawsuits. But
I wish there was an A&W on here because I used to eat an A&W all the time.
you know where I used to crave when I was little, like all the time for some reason that they don't really have anymore is Long John Silver's. For some reason, I loved
they're all
their
gone. They're all
I loved
gone.
their
That was
trashy
always
fish
fun.
with the vinegar. It's just like had such a unique, like, I don't know. I always craved that.
That was always a fun place. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Sonic is solid. Sonic deserves a slight. Sonic is one of those like the food isn't
So
amazing.
you throw Sonic up top?
I would say A tier. I think a lot of people with Sonic gets put A tier because it's just so convenient. It's so fast. You can get anything there. Like I'm talking hot dogs and burgers at any time. It's 24/7 almost in most places. So it's like it's just a really good American place. they grossed out at Long John Silver's in the chat. Yeah, see, like as an adult, I went back and I was like, "Ooh, this is disgusting." But as a kid, for some reason, the vinegar, I guess, got it to me. I was like,
Put
this
the
is
Steak and Shake up there. The Steak and Shake wasn't that bad. I had tried it. There's steak burgers. They're decent.
They're okay as long as you don't get the flavored ones because they used to put some weird powdered crap on the flavored burgers. It's like garlic powder burger or something. Those are disgusting.
Yeah,
those are
no,
gross. Yeah, those are mistakes.
Usually, when I hit up any of these places, if I'm ordering a cheeseburger of any sort, it's plain. You don't be adding no sauces, no relishes, no nothing to any of that. And I'm one that will eat that stuff, but not from them. Ever. No matter what time of day it is. If you like
Cracker
show
Barrel's
up
good,
early,
too.
get there right at 10 o'clock and order one of the first lunches, nope. Still not happening.
That's fair.
Just no. I've worked them. No. So all these other ones.
So here, Church's
Jack in
Chicken,
the Box,
actually really good. Church's Chicken is probably a C tier. It's one of those convenient, really good. If it's around, you go there. It's delicious. It's basically a knockoff Popeyes, kind of similar to it's decent. Similar to Bojangles, actually. Bojangles is basically the same thing as Church's Chicken. Chick-fil-A, my opinion, B tier. Other people would probably put it A tier, but they can have their opinions and show it where the sun don't shine. But
I see it. I have no clue. So
have you not had Chick-fil-A either?
No.
You're not
I've
missing much, to be fair. It's like white people chicken. It's not great.
There was a big, huge rigmarole over a particular sandwich for a little while. For whatever reason, like everybody wanted this particular sandwich, and it'd sell out every single store every single day. I'm like,
yeah, and I hate standing in line for 30 minutes
to try to do
sandwich.
that. They're like, you really don't. Apparently, it goes really fast. Why? Because it's either you order the sandwich or you're a jackass. Just order the sandwich and move on. That's what they want. They want everybody to say, how many? It's the only thing that you need to tell them is how many of those particular sandwiches do you need. That's why they're so fast, because they just continually put out bad chicken all day long.
Fair. That is fair. I would say Chipotle, D tier, overrated. Hecka overrated. Moe's is probably a C tier. It's better than Chipotle, but it's too expensive for what it is.
I don't see that there. Oh yeah, I do. There is.
Yeah, Moe's is basically just
I'm sorry.
a knockoff Chipotle. Moe's would be C tier probably. It's like a knockoff Chipotle, but better, better ingredients. Qdoba would be B tier.
I have tried them, and I'd agree. I mean,
it's good. It's not amazing.
I like myself some decent Mexican food, and that's not Mexican food.
No. I call it Chipotle food.
They can call it what they want. It's not. Just not.
Chipotle though is D or F. Chipotle's trash.
I guess I didn't realize that was Qdoba at first.
Yeah.
Jersey Mike's.
Really, I can't remember having those ever. It's one of those things that you see but you never go to.
Do they still exist?
I think they're good. I think a lot of people like them. I just haven't tried them personally that I can think of. Yeah, I know they're around still.
Jack in the
Jack
Box?
in the Box. I think that's a nostalgia thing. People go to it because it's named Jack in the Box and they remember it from their childhood, but they're all boomers and old. No one cares anymore.
Cookout.
Calling them out. I have no idea what Cookout is. I've never been there.
Chipotle. So that's one of those that I've always thought, oh, I should go try that. And I always turn around after standing there for a few minutes because something just tells me don't eat there.
So Checkers, I remember eating there when I was a kid, but I don't really remember the quality. It's like unmemorable. I know a lot of people like same thing with Jack. They're basically the same as Jack in the Box, if I remember correctly. It's like meh.
So you kind of remember, you kind of don't.
I'm just over here attacking Debbie. Apparently, sorry, Debbie.
I'm a boomer and damn proud of it. Jack in the Crack is only good for drunken nights. All right, good to know.
Elephant was saying, you ask kids to put something away, and apparently that translated to throw it away. Oops.
Fair.
Oh my.
I'm not going to save it. I'm not going to save and download anything.
No.
Because it doesn't need to be.
No,
but it looks like you can save and download it. Share it along with your Twitter or your Facebook and let everybody know how you feel about what you like to eat and don't like to eat.
Click on the view community rank thing up there at the top and you can see what basically the average of everyone else's ratings that has ever done this chart is. Up at the top, on top of the chart. View community rank. And that shows you the average what everybody else rated everything. So this is what the community
we were pretty
did.
Close there.
So they got Chick-fil-A at the top because there's some for Chick-fil-A. Idiots. Taco Bell at the top just probably because the convenience factor, but also it doesn't deserve to be there.
Notice
Wendy's
our
doesn't deserve
top
to be
tier
there.
Is there A tier? To a certain
Yeah.
I think it was like 2.
Domino. How is Domino's on top? Papa John's is better than Domino's.
Pizza Hut's much better than Domino's.
McDonald's on okay, they're just dumb. These kids are dumb. McDonald's S tier, like bruh. Now KFC A tier, next to Popeyes. That's disrespectful. That's like actually disrespectful. KFC over Raising Cane's is a war crime. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. This entire chart is terrible.
They put
Boston Market.
Zaxby's all the way down in an F.
They put Zaxby's in F, which is unacceptable, first of all. But Boston Market, how do they not know what Boston Market is? Like, do you know what Boston Market is?
That's the place with the pies.
Yeah, they have like chicken, rotisserie chickens, pies, basically just sole American
around
food.
the Midwest, we called those like Perkins or something or other.
Yeah, there are Perkins as well. Boston Market, different, but similar. But yeah, it's like, how do you not?
Around that same, whatever. Usually it's a little bit better to go to the Perkins, is my thought.
This chart is stupid. This chart is dumb.
You know what it is? It's tier maker. Tier maker sucks. Let's blame the tier maker. Just kidding.
Yeah, I would agree with you that Boston was a solid C. Boston's one of those things that the food that they serve isn't amazingly delicious, but it's always ready available, and it's like soul food for like American soul food that most restaurants for some reason don't have. Like just mashed potatoes that are homemade versus like rotisserie chicken, things like that are just like fresh and ready to go. At least the Boston markets I've been to. But yeah. They have good Thanksgiving dinners at Boston.
I mean, of course, everything always comes down to convenience and how far away it is. It's just like I ate the A&W almost every day. Why? Because it was 2 shops down from me. It was easy to go walk in there, grab what I wanted, or tell them what I wanted, walk out of there, eat my sandwich on the way back, whatever. The Subway was the next closest. That was in the next building over inside the Walmart or whatever. So it's like, just go walk up inside there and, order the sandwich. You get to know the guy that does the normal day shift or whatever. He knows what you like, how you like it. And if he notices that you're at work, he stops in and says, "You want that same sandwich later?" And be like, yeah, I'll be in. And be like, all right. It's just like, it'd be ready for you by the time you got off of work.
Hell yeah.
So, I mean, when you work small towns and you work places like that, obviously it's always about the convenience and what's nearest you. I mean, if everything was right next to each other, I'd be kind of scared. She's like, oh crap, I'm not eating at any of them.
Yeah, I feel elephant's pain. Kid throw away homemade guac. It's disrespectful.
Fresh make guac.
They eat had a naked tortilla chips. Also a war crime. Pretty sure you can sue. I'm not a lawyer, but just saying. If I was, I'd probably represent you to sue.
Didn't
naked
like
tortilla.
it, so slap. That's my guacamole.
Support all the fast food.
What's that?
Somebody said the best way to solve a population crisis is just export all of our fast food.
And there you go.
I would do it.
Yeah, that's why whenever, KFC and McDonald's and all these places were shutting down in Russia, they like this freaking, like all these people were like, oh, thank you so much, America. Now we are healthier, so we are healthier. We have all of our oil, but we withhold oil from you, so we make you healthier by making you walk to work.
Hey, we need their oil to make our fast food, so it's like made out of basically oil at this point. So it's all plastic products.
If I lived with Debbie, I'd be so fat. She's like, I make this and that and the other thing. She's making all this good stuff. I'd be eating all that good stuff over and over and over again. I'd be so large. As Printergod's like
be
more
spherical,
pretzels.
like
I was gonna say, if you live with me, you'd get pretzels, home style, signature select.
Oh man.
All right. Okay. First of all, somebody said, Little Galaxy 56 said, leave the cilantro out. No. Control yourself. Have some self-respect. Evaluate yourself. Go stand in the corner. Whatever you need to do. But no. Cilantro is an S tier food item. And it deserves respect. All right.
Also,
Just saying.
cilantro
It
is
really
like a
does.
yeast detoxification.
All these people like cilantro tastes like soap. No. Your mouth is just wrong. Cilantro is not. Just saying.
No, cilantro doesn't taste like soap at all. No. It's an herb, ladies and gentlemen. And also, again, it is a very good herb to detoxify your body. It takes out all of the heavy metal things that should not be there and binds to it and removes it.
Somebody said, I think basically that cilantro, the people that taste the soap in cilantro instead of actually tasting cilantro, some genetic defect. There's some population control that I can get behind.
The amount of sugar in their body that's causing that.
Yeah.
It's like drinking orange juice. You tell somebody that says, "Oh, the orange juice is sour," and it's like, stop drinking so much sugar all the time.
I know. It's just you eating nothing but mac and cheese, chicken nuggets, and chocolate milk every day, all day. You have no idea of what taste is.
Just attacking Little Galaxy over here.
Speak of these things.
He says nasty like parsley. It's also wrong again. It has its place. Parsley isn't quite on the same level as cilantro, in my opinion. but it has its place. It deserves respect.
Parsley is also super healthy for you. I mean, like super healthy for you. Like super.
You ever had like
super healthy.
butter potatoes with bacon? Like, so you take potatoes, you chop them up.
Truth zealot.
Super healthy.
Take
Holy crap.
potatoes, chop them into quarters, bake them or boil them or whatever. Then you take them and you pan fry them, like toast them in butter. Get like a butter crispy on the outside. Put some
Fish, you better tell
parsley on
your
there with
friend to
bacon
be
bits.
careful with that vehicle that drives on oils and smells like French fries as he's going down the road. You got to be careful.
Oh God.
I know a lot of people that did that conversion. It's like it uses vegetable, basically. I think it's vegetable oil. Some residue.
Tweety US News says F cilantro, smashed potatoes are better.
What?
It's not showing up because there's nobody being mod. It's fun. I don't care.
No.
And he says butter. Why is it? What the? Just show these. Why isn't it not showing those?
You got your communist censorship going on in your chat.
Like, hey, wait, it's YouTube. YouTube likes to censor things.
Acceptable. Do you have some sort of like stream elements thing in your stream or something? Because that would do it too.
No. Just using StreamYard at the moment. I was actually thinking of actually playing around and trying to see if I couldn't use Streamlabs. Discord.
Streamlabs and Stream Elements, they're pretty but effective for that.
There was something that you could actually try applying to be a beta tester for. That's actually going to integrate. That's weird. For whatever reason, my screen's switched place. Just says that the one in front of me is now 2 and the other one is 1. Okay. Great.
They're out to get you.
They're like, hey, this guy was talking about something. Let's get him. The hell? It's so weird.
Hey, I will have to dip here in about like 5 minutes. I gotta still do stuff tomorrow morning, unfortunately.
AmericaShirts, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, not particularly. This isn't exactly a news evening. So
it was until you showed up.
Okay.
We went through 4 different articles or whatever, and he went into depth about the technology. And
you want to see something I printed on one of my 3D printers?
Sure.
One of the reasons why I'm named Printergod.
He's like, hey, check this out. He printed. Okay, hold on here.
See if it'll focus.
Leave it up. So we'll do this. We'll move you up here. We'll do one of those. There you go.
I've got a couple of these.
Was it made out of plastic?
Yeah, it's hollow inside, but like pretty cool stuff. I made that one. I made this one recently too. This is just like the Dragon capsule for the SpaceX Falcon 9. See if it'll focus.
Focus.
It may not.
Focus.
It's fine.
Nope. Focus.
You can see it here. There you go.
Right. It sees your face, so it's gonna continue to try focusing.
Very cool stuff.
Wax on.
There's some plane models.
Wax on.
Little cool things. Completely useless. All little pieces of brittle plastic, but fun to play around with. You can make cool little infinity things that shouldn't exist.
Ladies, as he says, he has no children.
On purpose. That's it. You can take me down. I'm good.
He just like kicks you.
He's like,
I figured I should tie in something with my name, Printergod.
You don't need to go any further.
Pretzels.
Stop it.
You can 3D print a house. They're not practical, and it's more expensive than doing it the regular way. So don't do it.
All right. Can't wait for my new chair to show up. Yep. I figured
Roll
it
the
out.
difference. Roll the difference. What'd
So,
you get?
everybody, make sure you check out AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com.
That is AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com. Only the most base shirts on the planet. I'm not a doctor. That's just what the website says, ladies and gentlemen. You can get 15% off any of those shirts in that store by using the discount code Koolfrogg. That is the discount code Koolfrogg for 15% off anything in the store.
And of course, I'm Koolfrogg. I'm like not listening. And of course, I'm Koolfrogg. If you want to support me immediately, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Koolfrogg. If that doesn't work out for you, there is a PayPal link down below. Don't forget to check out Locals and Rumble sites for both myself and the Truth Zealot.
It's called Zealot.
And why is it Zeal, not Zell? Right? Just saying.
Okay, you know what? Like, you all can go off and like speak your freaking freakazoid
English and stuff.
Your Spanglish and whatever. I don't know. Just speak Spanish better than you can English. There's Printergod.
No, eso es cierto.
Oh, get out of here.
He's like, don't egg me on. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Later, people. Check my Rumble.
Take care.
I reposted the Bill Gates depopulation thing over there, so check it out.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.